Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick, and I don't know whether I like this layout or not. And I'm joined. Well, myself and Gary are joined this week by Nigel Kahn. So before we say hello to everyone, I'll let you know what this show is all about. First of all, disclaimer: this is not a Moyes in, Moyes out show. It's not. It's basically it's us trying to sort of unpick why there is such an appetite from a large section of fans. It is pretty much an even split, I would say, for us to play attractive football almost above all else. Okay, and is that wrong? Where does it stem from? That type of thing. So yeah, that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to try and do it in some sort of controlled way, and we'll try not to argue. But as always, we can't make any promises, can we? Especially when Nigel's on the show, because he's quite inflammatory, unlike me. So Nigel, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
You doing all right?
Yeah. I just wrote a story on 6'2" about the three Anderlecht fans that have been in court today.
Oh yeah, because the names, because we were wondering whether they were West Ham or Anderlecht fans, right? But the names give them away, don't they? Let's find a name. So the guy that ran on the pitch was called Dean Pierre Declan.
Well, actually, and this is the funny
was he West Ham or was he Anderlecht?
Because the way I've seen
Dean Pierre Declan.
Oh no, exactly.
He's not. See what he's been charged with. He's been charged with entering the field of play or whatever. But I don't know if any other Anderlecht fans tried to jump over. The weird thing is when you watch the video back of him, as he's going past. Now, if he was an Anderlecht fan, I thought all that mob at the front of the West Lower would have been throwing shit at him and everything. They didn't do anything. And he was sort of giving the bird, as we say, I thought, to the Anderlecht fans.
Right.
So I never see him as an Anderlecht fan. Now, obviously, what the police are not doing, they're not revealing who the bloke was that ran on the pitch. All we know is a fan today has been found guilty of it. And I think he got the biggest ban. I think he...
Oh, really? 3 years and 120 quid in 3 years.
Was it? Oh, right. Yeah. There was one that got sent to prison, though, wasn't there? But that was for assaulting a police officer.
Oh, right. That'll do it. Yeah. Yeah. But whoever it was that ran on the pitch, fucking terrible at football, wasn't he?
He was. It was.
He tried to do there. I mean, it's embarrassing.
He messed it up. I mean, if you're going to do that, you've got to get the ball, haven't you?
Was it his wrong foot? Did he?
No, he had the wrong footwear on, didn't he?
Oh,
yeah.
It was like Ben Rama trying to play a ball with his right foot, wasn't
it?
Yeah. Poor Benny. Right, Gary, how are you anyway? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Today?
I'm good. I've been up to see Ross up in Papworth. So yeah,
right?
He's fine. Yeah, had a bit of a busy day. He's coming out next Friday. So did that, came home, had a couple of beers, watched this cracking series called The Watcher on Netflix. The seven-part true story. Weird as fuck. You need to see it to believe it, right? I won't tell you what it's all about. I won't ruin it for you, but you got to watch it.
I've only just got over the other program I watched on Netflix, the one with the weird fucker who
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer, my God.
You having nightmares?
No, that was freaky though, wasn't it? It didn't get any better as it went on.
He won't pick a Jew up for a while though.
Have you seen that, Nigel?
I know the story. So I walked in one day and my missus was watching it, and I went, "No, I can't be out of this one. I know what he done."
Do you know what we watched the documentary as well on Netflix. We watched that on Thursday night, Wednesday night, and the guy that played Dahmer in the show, amazing, cracking character, because obviously you had images and video of the actual guy and voice recordings of him as well. He took him off really, really well. I don't know whether that's a good thing.
Got into character quite well, did he?
Yeah. But anyway, on to other things. We're not here to talk about Jeffrey Dahmer. We're here to talk about not even so much David Moyes, really. Not even so much about David Moyes. It's about it's more about the West Ham fan base. And this ain't shooting anyone down. This is trying to understand, and this ain't saying that anyone's wrong. This is trying to understand, why there is such a demand with West Ham. Is it in our DNA? Is it the West Ham way? That type of thing. And we're going to try and sort of ascertain how far back this goes, because from gauging conversations that we've had with people, either in the chat or people that have phoned in, it does seem to be. I think it's generational. I think whatever West Ham were like when you started supporting them to a degree, then maybe that's how that's how you fell in love with West Ham, and that's the type of football that you that you associate them with. You know, if you started supporting West Ham in the Sam Allardyce years, then you'll think what we're watching at the moment is great, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But sort of go.
Behave, Nick, will you?
I know.
Don't start already.
I won't. But what I'm saying is, starting with Nigel, because Nigel is the historian of the group. How far back does this stretch? And is there some weight in the West Ham way? See, my idea of the West Ham way is that West Ham are associated with going out to win games, playing attacking football. And for me, we'll talk about it later, and we'll give our opinions on it later on. But yeah, for me, that's kind of what I associate West Ham with, and I can't really tolerate and stomach anything less. So how far back does it stretch? That type of thing.
Well, I mean, how far back do you want to go? I mean, I suppose Ron Greenwood's, in a way, people point to what he said when he said that the type of football, could be the ruination of football, just playing to win. You know, where the West Ham fans prefer to see and accept something a bit different.
Yeah.
So Greenwood had a style of playing, but then again, that style of playing was there in a way before he turned up, brought in by Ted Fenton.
Right.
Now, Ted Fenton was a West Ham player in the late 20s, 1930s, Ted Fenton. So he was a local boy, Forest Gate born, grew up West Ham. Now, if you go all the way back to the 1923 Cup final, the chaos all around the pitch, West Ham are playing Bolton.
Yeah.
And some of the press reports say West Ham were caught out. They were unable to play their expansive football because of the close proximation of the fans to the pitch, i.e., because the fans were actually standing on the touchline.
Yeah.
West Ham preferred to play the ball more, where Bolton, funny enough, they did under Allardyce, like to hoof the ball up a bit. And,
so even back then, we were quite a progressive team.
And this is the thing. So under Sid King, then you're looking about it. They wanted to play the ball more on the floor. Now I know back then West Ham would use wingers. Now, if you're going to hoof the ball up the field to your striker, you're not going to employ wingers. And some of these wingers in the 1930s, even though West Ham were a Division 2 team back then, would play for England.
Yeah.
So Len Gordon being like the big star of the team. So Len was a great footballer and appeared, I think, 14, 15 times for England, which was picked by a committee. And that was quite a lot of, and actually it was the war that turned up and probably paid to his international career. So it depends how, it's almost like that's always been there in a way since West Ham started playing league football, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or were organised better as a football club, all the way back to Sid King. The one thing I will say about the West Ham way is to caveat is I think it's individual to each fan.
Yeah.
There's no, as you said, there's no right and no wrong in what you believe the West Ham way to be.
Yeah.
For me, I suppose I'm more akin to the Ron Greenwood quotation where he says basically that West Ham fans turn up first and foremost to see a good game of football, and that the result is secondary.
Yeah.
And that is, that was why I was so anti Allardyce. Because he was the antithesis of the West Ham way. Allardyce is
we did play tremendous cutting edge football under Ron Greenwood, didn't we? For that time that we was in.
In those days we did. I mean, there was a big. There's a comment here. There was a big Hungarian influence, wasn't there?
Well,
with Ron Greenwood, I didn't know there was with Ted Fenton. Yeah. That's what Darren says.
Well, what it is that but there was a game that changed the face, to really bore people. There was a game that changed the face of English football, and it was the day the Hungarians turned up at Wembley. I think beat us 6-3, which was the first defeat I think on England faced by a non-British team. So I think the Scots had beat us, but we'd never lost to Johnny Foreigner, let's say.
Yeah.
But Ferenc Puskas was the star of the team. And this was the Hungarian team that I think went to the final or went to the World Cup final just the next year, I think in 54. So, and perhaps should have gone on to win it. And the way they played football totally revolutionised British football from then on in the 50s. A lot of players looked at this and realised that the old-fashioned English way with inside forwards, all these old names that there weren't really a right back and a left back. So it was like right half, left half.
Yeah.
So, and they looked at the tactics, but not only Ron Greenwood. At West Ham, we had Malcolm Allison, Franco Farrell. They'd all seen the game. And this was the start of the Casatari boys. And that all predated Ted Fenton. But it was all inspired by that Hungarian game where the Hungarians, I think we played them again a year later in Hungary and got smashed something even worse, 7-1.
Yeah.
And the Hungarians played with a collar shirt as well, which was different. And if you look back, West Ham then took a collared shirt. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
So there was a definite influence there because, well, I mean, based on that and based on what you've just said, obviously we'll go to we'll go through the generations a little bit in a minute, just sort of flick through them. But then the West Ham way, I don't think it is really nonsense, to be quite honest, because I think only people that would have an affinity with West Ham being a progressive team would even refer to the West Ham way. I think that is what the West Ham way is. I think if you don't believe in the West Ham way, then you don't believe in it. Personally, I don't. That's what I think.
I've never really. I don't remember the West Ham way as such. I remember the academy being mentioned quite a lot, but I don't remember the West Ham way.
Is the academy all part of it as well?
I don't remember the West Ham way being mentioned beyond the last 20 years or so, right? I think that's, to me, that the West Ham way is a kind of modern thing, where my personal take is, people have invented this mythical West Ham way as an excuse for, we don't win trophies, but we enjoy ourselves, sort of thing, because we play a different breed of football.
I don't think it's mythical, though.
No. I don't think it's mythical. I think in our minds, exactly
the phrase is, but I don't think
what you said earlier.
West Ham had a way of playing.
Well, that's the thing. What I'm saying is the West Ham way. I don't remember growing up there being a West Ham way. I don't know. Nigel, do you remember the West Ham way being mentioned?
Is that because that's how we played?
In the 80s and the 70s and stuff like that? Do you remember that being mentioned?
I mean, you can go back to press cuttings and there would be talk of it about the West Ham way. Personally, I was brought up on the understanding that we go and watch West Ham, not specifically to see them win, but to see a performance put in by the team in claret and blue.
Yeah.
And that was primarily that if we'd lost 5-3 or, and seen a great game of football, then you walked out happy. I can, it's hard, you could go, I can point to one game, right? And we got beat 5-1 by Leeds.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the screaming and everything. And I walked out with my mate and said, do you know what? I can't wait for next season. We're going to renew our book. And we had 3 players sent off.
Oh, that's that one where Ian Wright smashed the
Ian Wright smashed the
I was there.
Yeah. Smashed them up. It's it's quite. Well, I think Craig, what's his name, was in goal. Not Craig Dawson. Craig Forrest.
If he was in goal, we wouldn't have. Would have been all right.
You lot texting earlier about Craig Dawson. Craig Forrest got sent. I think Mark Vivian Foe got sent off. Right. I don't know about last kick of the game because he obviously kicked the player, but to see us down to 8 men. But I think we were down 2 players, and we were still pushing to try and score more goals.
Yeah, and it's that sort of thing. It's that sort of experience where like in the last couple of years, you've seen Arsenal have not been in the top 6, right? They've not been in the top 6. They've been struggling, or not been in the top 4 at least. They've been struggling to their standards. And did you see the way the crowd stopped going to games over at the Emirates. I mean, literally, they had big gaps up in those stands and everything else, right?
Yeah.
We are completely different. We have put more and more seats in the ground. We've still had no success. We've had some partial success the last couple of years, but it's still not real success.
It's not
And
real
yet
success,
we keep
no.
filling every week this fucking great big stadium that's getting bigger and bigger. Yeah,
not sure we fill it. To be honest,
I think
we sell all the tickets.
Yeah,
but
when it out,
when you're selling 50,000 season tickets, maybe or more than that, probably, out of 62,000. That's the reason. That's a whole different argument. To be fair, you go to the games. Come on, you can see there's 45 to 50,000 now. I'll give you that.
Yeah, look, I mean, people buy season tickets, and some of them only go to the big games. I'll give you, I'll give you that, right? With the big games, it's full up. But it was just right. Chris says, "I'm about your age, boys, maybe a little bit older." Nah, you're not. I'm 52 in May. Youngster, Chris, youngster. First went to Upton Park in 1976. We never won anything, but the football was great. No silverware, but entertainment until 80. Even when we were in Division 2. Yeah, look, it's always provided brilliant entertainment over there. And I think that is not only what goes on the pitch, I think it's what goes on in the stands. I think it's the whole shooting match that comes together.
Yeah.
What you said earlier, Nick, is what I look for primarily from a West Ham game, and that is us to have a go.
It's to try and win. It's to try and win.
Yeah. That is to me. If you're going to label saying the West Ham way, that is the West Ham way to me. And sitting back and absorbing and trying to play for a draw, that is not the West Ham way.
It's not just trying to win though, and it is trying to win by playing football.
Yeah, and entertaining. I mean, and like I say, West Ham, I think another thing, certainly in my lifetime anyway. Like I say, when I really, really sort of fell in love with West Ham, I've always supported West Ham, obviously, but the era where I really kind of fell in love was the Harry Redknapp era.
Yeah,
for me, and obviously Di Canio, you had that crop of youngsters that came through as well. You had the likes of Sinclair. There was we had Dix. There was just a never ending, and even Dix, who was a hard man, he was a cultured player, wasn't he? He was a brilliant player, and I just think that the way that we played, it was exciting. It really was. And if I just sort of flick through, probably the eras that I'm fond of. Since I've been supporting West Ham, it probably is Redknapp. After that, probably for a little bit, not overly enjoyed it, but I thought the football was okay. Zola, Paju, Paju, Zola, and Bilic for that one season. For me, I've never ever been able to enjoy.
No wonder you get upset so easy. You've seen some gash in your time.
He really is.
But what it is for me, I've never been able to enjoy the pragmatic manager, Kirbishley, Allardyce, and Moyes he isn't the same style, but Moyes is a pragmatic manager. He goes out to not lose, Nigel. We do win a lot. But ultimately,
but Nick, see, this is where we go. I can throw the stats at you. This is a man who's won more Premier League games as a West Ham manager than any other West Ham manager.
Nigel, you've seen David Moyes go out in a game to basically shut up shop and not go to win that game. He almost tries to strangle a game. He does do that. If you can't see that, then I'm sorry. Then you must have been blind in a few games, because he has done it definitely. He has. More than definitely, even the start of this season.
Aston Villa. What I would say to you is that he would go out to keep the game tight, and then maybe try and win it late on. Now, the only thing is, he is pragmatic, though.
He is a pragmatic manager.
That is a tactic that Harry used to use away from home.
Football under Redknapp was better, mate.
This is an interesting one here from Gary Smithhurst. I don't know what you both think about this, but probably true. Imagine Ron Greenwood managing. Imagine Ron Greenwood managing in the Premier League era, right, with 3 World Cup winners. And you couldn't get anything better than those 3 players. He's got 3 of those players in his team, and they're finishing lower half to mid-table every year. How long would Ron Greenwood have lasted in the modern era?
In regards to fan base, I mean, if you look at his start, so he comes into the club 61, or April 61, so at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He then, we have a fairly ordinary season, 62, 63, he's starting to build the team. We know what happened, 63, 64, we finally win a trophy. Then we go to Europe. Funny enough, West Ham win the World Cup, don't have a great season. The season after the World Cup, West Ham are lucky not to be relegated.
Yeah.
So that's 66. Ron Greenwood doesn't step aside. He's never sacked. So until 1973. 1974, he brings John Lyle in and gives him more of a free rein. And that's when Lyle becomes team manager. But the players are still bought and sold by Ron Greenwood.
Yeah.
So
they are.
And this is the thing.
Well.
Here he's got three of the best players in the world at the time. There's another player, Paju that he had, who would have been at the World Cup if he hadn't been injured, probably. As a reserve, though, who's as good as Jeff Hurst at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Paju was, if not better than Jeff Hurst. We'd bought him from Crystal Palace.
Interesting comment from Chris here where he says, I've always thought the West Ham way. Because I'll tell you what, you guys that are watching in the comments, tell us how you would define the West Ham way, just like Chris has
if you define it at all.
Yeah, if you define it at all. So, Chris has always thought the West Ham way, it meant keeping the ball on the floor. Yeah, I agree. Pass and move, fast, tricky wingers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what it's meant to be. And the best West Ham teams had solid defenses as well, right? But we always had this kind of, our best teams have always had these players, these heroes, like the best team in the 70s and 80s included the likes of Billy Barnes, the likes of Trevor Brooking, and then we had you look at the mid 80s, that great team that nearly won the league. You got Cotty and you got McAvenny, and then later on you've got Di Canio, and then arguably you've got Tevez, and now I think you've got to have a couple of special ingredients in order to make a great team. And I think Nick, you probably when you talk about the Redknapp era, there's probably an overabundance of very good players and a lot of shit as well. So you saw a real mixture, didn't you? Because Redknapp's time, when Redknapp's teams were generally bad defensively, weren't they? And bad away from home, but great on the attack and fantastic entertainment at home. It's great to be at a season ticket holder and watch every home game. It was brilliant entertainment, wasn't it?
Yeah. But you'd only win 3 away.
I mean, this is Gary Smithhurst's definition. That's playing attractive, entertaining football with lesser emphasis on the eventual result. And and it was style over substance, as he's gone on to say. But you know what? I think we've had this debate on previous shows now, and I think especially now we're in a situation where West Ham has spent so much money and we have got a very good squad of players. When people hit back at you for getting frustrated with the style of play, and that's, oh, this ain't FIFA, we're not Man City, only Man City can play that way and be successful. That's nonsense as well, because if you look at Brighton, if you look at Brentford, there isn't only one way to win a game if you're not Man City. The
funny thing is, though, Nick, is that I don't see Moyes in the playing the same type of football at all as what we played under Allardyce or Kirbishley.
Different players,
and the funny thing about Kirbishley is, a West Ham man.
Kirbishley was fucking awful. He was fucking awful. The football under him, my God.
And it's hard with Kirbishley for me because he came in after Paju and he stabilised. We had the great escape.
Yeah.
Which was, at the end of the day, we won 7 out of the last 9 games. And that is fantastic to do that. And then we start the next season and it was just average, wasn't it? Yeah. And then, some of the signings that he made, funny enough, the Kirbishley was at the do I was at last Friday. And his best signing, he said, was Scott Parker.
Right.
Yeah,
so, understandable.
Fair enough. Probably understandable in a way. So actually, if you look back, he sort of. But was he there long enough to actually do something? And I would argue the case that no, he wasn't. That he bowed, and then Zola came in. Yeah. And the funny thing about it, in a way, I thought the time under Zola was pretty decent, the football wise.
Good football.
Results,
Good football.
not, but you know, he turned Colton Cole.
Yeah,
not
that
only
was his
into
best
an
period.
England
That was
player,
his best period.
Yeah, but Colton Cole actually looked like he should play for England.
Well, that kind of illustrates
You know?
that Zola period illustrates the kind of West Ham mentality, because we were down the bottom all season, but we kind of liked the manager and we kind of liked his style. You know, it was that all-out attack, that little tippy-tappy football. Like you said, he brought out the best in Colton Cole. Colton was looking like a proper striker, wasn't he? And so I think we had a lot of love for that manager, and it was a shame.
But were
when
we
he got fired.
forgiving?
But we only just stayed up, didn't we?
Yeah, but were we forgiving because of the club had gone into the second richest man in Iceland had become the biggest ever bankrupt in the world. Now, if anybody wants to know the West Ham way, I think there's one there.
Yeah, no, I know.
The second richest man in Iceland, the richest was his son, by the way, people, owned a bank.
Say that. Yeah, you could say that. What the West Ham way is,
we get bought by a billionaire who goes bankrupt.
It's fucking snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, right?
Takes the world with him and all for
he did.
The Icelandic banking crisis kick-started the world
2008,
recession
didn't
of
it?
2008 banking crisis. All these banks have folded. Councils that had been put their money into Iceland went down, and there's West Ham had played their little part.
I've got a theory as well. And this is kind of maybe in defence of some of these managers as well, right? Because, like I said to you, I think I'm going to pigeonhole them. I know they're not all the same. I know that Moyes isn't Allardyce and Allardyce isn't Kirbishley. I know they're not the same. But you've got attacking managers and you've got pragmatic managers. Now, I think in my time at West Ham, pragmatic managers have almost been the disaster recovery managers, the managers that you bring in when you're in trouble. Rarely have these managers been backed to go on and build something. When they've stabilised us, it's almost kind of they've done their job, they move on. Whereas David Moyes is probably the first pragmatic manager that's been backed. So now do you think that could be it? Because in a West Ham fan's mindset, certainly, look, it's what we've all experienced. We brought in David Moyes to save us from relegation twice. He was a disaster recovery manager. That's what he was. So do you think that there's part of that mentality as well, where we sort of pigeonhole these managers as only being able to do one part of a job?
Yes, I think a lot of it comes from the press as well.
Yeah,
and the so-called, the labelling of managers. Like long ball. There were certain managers. Allardyce obviously was long ball. Graham Taylor was perceived to be long ball. Funny enough, at Watford. You had Dave Bassett, Wimbledon. There was quite a few managers that were pigeonholed like that, but they were success. It depends, doesn't it? It's on success.
Yeah.
Was Allardyce successful for West Ham? Near enough most people, I can't believe it. Actually,
he did his job. I think he did his job. He got us promoted.
I think overall he was. I mean, he
did his job and stabilised us, didn't he?
He did all right for us. He made a couple of fuck ups, and his style of football was just awful.
Yeah, signing his contract was one.
Yeah. But everybody knew what an ego Sam Allardyce was. It wasn't a surprise when he kind of did what he did, and it wasn't a surprise when he ignored the fans and just played his own horrible brand of football, and then did what he did, reacted to the fans, and played those youngsters up at Forest. I wasn't surprised at it. I wasn't surprised.
But Allardyce, remember, at his first press conference, turned around and went, "What is the West Ham way?" And he joked, and this is when that was
taking the piss.
He lost me.
Yeah,
but you don't do. How do you get the fans on side? You don't sit there and go, "Well, West Ham way's the losing way," isn't it? And there for me, I think he straight away failed to understand what I thought would be the mentality of the club. The West Ham way weren't the losing way. Avram Grant did not play the West Ham way.
No.
And that was the problem. Normally, if you play a brand of exciting, attacking, expansive football, like, as you say, like Harry, you will enjoy the ride. You'll win more than you lose.
Can I stop you there then? You've just said that. Can I add to that then? Like Harry, like Moyes, Nigel?
Well, we win more than we lose.
No, forget the result. We just said,
that-
we said,
yeah,
no,
that-
no, we
Yeah.
said, we said
No,
this
I
is
think
over
you're
result.
wrong. I think
Go on.
actually, I think Moyes can play. I mean, Nick, we scored more goals in the Premier
know.
League with Moyes. So, and this is the thing: pragmatic managers at West Ham have not had that goal scoring record.
No,
So
but
that's why I don't see.
It's style of football, though, Nigel. For me, right now, the way I analyse the way that we play most games, and we're a counter-attacking team, so we sit with two deep banks, and then we hit on the counter quickly. We've had a threat from set pieces. We've had you know, that's kind of where a lot of our goals have come from. So that for me, and it is kind of, you rarely see us holding onto the ball, playing through the lines. You know, it's kind of you could say it's exciting because, look, don't get me wrong, a counter-attacking game can be exciting if you're good at Liverpool or a counter-attacking team.
I think you've got to consider
you know,
context, Nick, you've got to consider context. And we had a terrible start to the season, right? We had a terrible start to the season. So when it came to the Wolves game the other week, I didn't frankly care what style we played against Wolves as long as we got a result and it got us out of trouble, right? So forget that. You can only judge the only way you can judge it and under a sort of fair context is when West Ham are comfortable. And when West Ham are comfortable, mid-table to the top half, do we set up to try and go and win games? You know, when there's no danger, when we're not sitting in the bottom three, right? And I think we do. I think we do try and go and win games. No, I think we do. I think he was playing because we had such a shitty start to the season. We were sitting deep. I thought that he was going on the managerial death spiral of getting stuck in one place and playing the same players every week, but he clearly hasn't. He proved that against Wolves in the other games.
If he goes to win games, what did he do in the Frankfurt game there? So many times when he doesn't go to win games.
Listen, that was a balls up, and you know, me and Nigel were watching that second leg in the pub in Plaistow, right, and in the Black Lion, and I think we both agreed what he did there was fucking ridiculous. The way he didn't go after that game. Right,
that's what I mean.
Disappointing. It's disappointing, but the fact is, had he gone after that game, it probably would have just made us feel better because we probably wouldn't have pulled it back anyway. Nonetheless,
that's nonsense.
Nonetheless, it would have. You know, that's the sort of thing. No manager is going to be perfect, and Moyes has got flaws. He's got flaws. That is one of his flaws. You know, the way he doesn't go after games.
No,
But he does go after games. You know, we've just won 4 on the bounce. We're about to win 5 on the bounce tomorrow.
We will have runs like that. We will, because we've got fucking good. We've just gone out and spent 180 million, Gary. We've got a 50 million Brazilian midfielder.
And now he's starting to play those players, and they're getting freedom.
But Nick,
they're getting freedom to play.
We're going to get results if we play the way that we play.
There's a pragmatist buy players like that, though.
Look,
there's a pragmatist. Would Allardyce go out and buy a player like that?
We don't know what Allardyce would have done.
He bought JJ Acosta and people like that, didn't he?
JJ never did for West Ham, though, did he?
You don't know, Nigel. You don't know what he would have done. He never got back to that sort of money.
Oh, he got money. He had money, Nick. Please don't tell me he didn't. He did. He had the money that was made available to him.
He did have money, yeah.
He was there for 4 years. Jesus Christ, Nick.
Yeah, but Moyes, can I put this in perspective? Moyes has spent as much as what Mikel Arteta has just spent.
Yeah, but that's because the club has generated it, though.
Yeah,
no. But what I mean is, and I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is, he's had a lot of money to spend in the last 2.5 years, 3 years. He's spent a fair bit. So, but
in January, people slaughter him for not spending.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, I would expect us at the start of the season. Half the battle was, look, listen, and you agreed with me on this, Gary. Right, that international break where Moyes was, he might not have been skating on as thinner ice as what we thought he was skating on. He might have had longer than what we thought. If he'd have continued to lose, he would have gone. Now, the club were getting angry at that. Now, there would have been pressure from above. There is pressure that's forced him to play those players, because when we came back after that international break, there was a change.
Yeah, but Nick, who cares?
There was a change.
Who cares? That is just supposition, right? You're just deciding that someone has pressured him to play the players. I don't care whether he decided to play him or someone else forced him to play him.
Yeah.
He played those players because he could have, as the manager, not played those players and got himself fired, right? He's decided, and if he's decided to do it himself or he's pressured, I don't care. He's got the results. And we've started to look pretty good. And we've got 2 players that is integrated into that team in the Premier League now in Scamacca and Paqueta. who are starting
Amazing.
to look top draw, right? They're starting
Yeah.
to look top draw. And he's drip feeding the others into the team as well. You know, you can see that I think pretty much every player he's bought looks like a quality player, right?
They look like quality. They look like a quality player. But do you know what? I'm still not seeing.
Suchek.
Apart from him.
Suchek,
but Gary, I'm still not seeing enough, because if you look at where we are at the moment, you know, another win, we go level on points with, I think, 8th place or something like that, but it's still very tight. For us to sort of get and settle ourselves even in the top half, we've got to put. You can't. We've ground out a few results. We're not going to always be able to do that. I think we've got to start putting in. Ignore the European games. We've been playing fucking Accrington Stanley, basically. That's what we've just played in
but if you look at the opening games, right?
Yeah,
there was one bad performance there, and that was Brighton. So but there were a couple. Not in the Forest.
What about Chelsea, who everyone was beating? Everyone was beaten, and we set up gutlessly in that game.
We smashed Forest off the park, and we were unlucky.
Everyone smashed Forest off the park, Nigel.
Yeah, and we smashed them off the park. We just couldn't get the ball past the woodwork. So we were unlucky there.
No,
in that game, it was a difficult start for him.
Yeah,
and but I fought against Man City. I don't think we were that bad.
No, I don't
actually,
think we were.
2-0. That's probably because that was Man City's first game.
Having said that, Nigel, we barely got across the halfway line against City, right? We sat. Well, this is the kind of, when you look at this fills my heart with pleasure, right? Is this? I remember Jimmy Neighbour, Alan Devonshire, Ray Stewart, Billy Bonds, Frank Lampard, Senior Phil Park, Sir Trev. I mean, that was a team full of players that I absolutely loved, right? And I think we've had a few teams like that over the years. And I like to think that's kind of what Moyes is trying to put together now. When I look at the current team, I love Dawson. I really love Dawson. I think he's a fucking great player. Yeah. I genuinely think Scamacca is going to be different class. Paqueta does stuff that other people don't think are doing. Right, we've got. He's slowly putting these little pieces. And you look at Downs. It's only a matter of time till Downs comes in. Right, he looks like it. Got to be honest, right? He looks like a bit of class, doesn't he? It's going to be a matter of time until he comes in. So slowly but surely, you're getting all these little ingredients, all these little players to turn it into a team that we sort of recognise, and a team where you got a lot of love for these players. And it's very high quality team as well, just like this one that's on the screen here. Yeah, you know.
The thing about as well in regards to West Ham way, where people look at the players, and the one thing about a lot of the best teams that we've had is we've had men of steel in there. Billy Bonds was not a cultured player. He was a workhorse, but by God did he work. And that's why he was loved. Yeah. And then you can jump forward into the 80s and the likes of George Paris and Jeff Pike. When you think of the boys of 86, you don't ever trip them names off. Yeah, no. Blimey, there's two players that played in the early mid. Well, not Paris come in the mid to late 80s. Jeff,
we loved them
early to mid. And they were workmanlike, and we did really love them. Lomas in the Redknapp era was as important as Trevor Sinclair.
Yeah.
The thing I get with you in a way about Moyes is because of the way he sets up. I don't like playing two defensive midfielders.
No.
So, I think if you're playing 4 defenders and 1 defensive midfielder, that gives you sort of 5 defensive players, and then play 5 attacking-minded players.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you split the team even.
But does that come though? Does that come when there's a little bit more safety? So he's been dabbling with the back 3. Does it? Not for now. Let's get ourselves in the top 10. Let's get ourselves in the top 6, and then we can try something like that.
But if he's playing a back 3, this is where I would argue. Where actually, if he's playing 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs who are generally defensive wing backs, and 2 defensive. It's very defensive, isn't it?
It's very defensive.
And this is where I'll agree with Nick. I
think David Moyes' utopia, and I mean this, would be to have the type of attackers whereby he could just play 2 deep banks of 4 and just have a massive gap in the middle that we could punt the ball up to him.
No,
But
I'm
you've got
not
these
sure
magic.
it is.
No, what I mean is, I think you've got these players that are so magic they can almost do the attacking part themselves, and he never has. He never has to kind of he never has to sort of put his defence in danger. He can always keep that because it's. I think with Moyes, it's. I think not conceding is the most important thing. You've heard that. You heard that in the Antonio podcast, and we've seen it. You saw it against Frankfurt when you're a goal down. Don't chase it. Don't chase it. I mean, I'm sorry, that I don't fucking agree with at all.
No. I don't agree with that. But you're never going to get a manager who does everything you want him to do, right? No. And Moyes, like I said a couple of weeks ago, I thought he was on the death spiral. He was on the like what Bilic went into, what Pellegrini went into, where they just stick to one idea, it keeps going wrong, but they carry on doing it anyway. That's where I thought Moyes was. He's not there yet, right?
Yeah.
And so we go back to before then, where I was happy with Moyes, and I am back to being happy with Moyes now, albeit it doesn't tick every box for me. I can't say I'm completely happy with Moyes, right?
I'm still not.
But I'm 70-80% happy with Moyes, and that's probably as good as he's going to get. He gets results. He gets results. He's going to,
that makes you more fickle than me, Gary, because you was virgin on Moyes out a few weeks ago.
No, I was virgin on Moyes out because I thought he was going into that death spiral, and he never went into that death spiral, right? You know what I said at the time. That's exactly what I said. It didn't happen, did it? He changed the team for Wolves, and we were saying if he didn't change the team for Wolves, then he'd be signing his own death certificate. I believe he would have. Yeah. So he's changed it around. I don't think his football is the worst in the world. I don't think his football is the worst in the world. I think his teams genuinely try to create chances and score goals. Look at the game against Anderlecht the other night. We just about won it 2-1, but look at the chances we made. We should have won it. We should have won it by a distance. We should have beaten Forest. We're creating chances all over the pitch. It ain't like we're just sitting back. There is the odd game where we sit back, like Man City, where we don't cross the halfway line.
Chelsea.
But Man City last season, we really went for Man City last season, right? We really went for them.
But Nick,
Chelsea first half, not second half.
Yeah,
right?
But sometimes, Nick, the opposition can stop you from playing the way you want to by what they do. And the fact is that Moyes looked at it against Villa, and he still managed to come away with it. But we didn't play well and win the game.
But listen,
so I'm afraid, don't back you up with Moyes. And that's the problem.
Stats, but what do you think about stats, though, Nigel? Honestly,
well, stats, yes. Unless I'm using them, they make you fall asleep.
But no. What I will say, the game just recently, the game that not the Anderlecht game, the Leeds game, although they was without Mitrovic, Fulham. Although they was without Mitrovic, Leeds are a fucking good team. They're a good team. That was a good win. Now, I know we did start off poorly, incredibly poorly in that one. That was
West Ham of old would have folded to concede after 5 minutes, and they hit the bar, which would have put them 2-0 up. Yeah. West Ham of old would have collapsed like a pack of cards in that game.
But that was a good win because they had threat everywhere going forward, didn't they? Fuck me, they were terrifying for 15 minutes. Probably one of the best teams that I've seen down there for a while. With how they ripped us to shreds in a short space of time. Obviously, they petered out, didn't they? Towards the back end of the game. But in that period there, that game could have been dead and buried after 15 minutes, couldn't it? The way it went.
Well, it would have won 3-2 if you look at it. If we'd have gone 2-0 down, Nick.
But no, what I'm saying is that was, for me, that was a good. The Wolves were shit. They've been shit all year. Leeds are a good team. They've been playing well this season. That was a good win.
But if teams and West Ham but they always have, Nick. To be fair, West Ham have always preferred teams that come and play football against us. Yeah. And we can go toe to toe with teams that play football. That's why if you look back, I mean, if you look at the Great Escape in 2006-07, I think we became the first team in Premier League to beat Man United and Arsenal home and away.
Yeah.
And we survived by the skin of our teeth.
We did this, and this is a good point from.
Did I say
Garino,
Leeds?
right?
Gary,
Can I just say,
more than
oh,
once.
Sake, sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
this
meant
is a
Fulham.
good point from Garino, because he says
Brain
style of
fart.
football may have declined when the real money came into football, and the price of relegation becomes too much.
I think
and that
exactly right.
It's completely different now to what it was back in the 80s, right? You know, back in the 80s, we didn't even get our 85, 86 season televised, did we? It was only a couple of games because there was a TV strike. There was no money in it back then. There was no money in it, right? There was no money in it all the way into the the early 90s, the very early 90s, and then suddenly money came along, right? So there was no risk. So people could be freer. They could play freer. They could play a 4-4-2. 4-4-2's ruled out now, isn't it? It's an old system,
Someone
isn't
said
it?
Joe
Nobody
Russell
uses
said,
it anymore.
Joe Russell said, "Why did teams all of a sudden stop playing two strikers?"
Well, because I mean, if you listen to Moyes the other week, you know, he said if you play two strikers, exactly. If you play two strikers, well, that's that, and that is the thing. Has that changed from Redknapp days? You know, there was a risk of going down with Redknapp. Of course, there was, but you know, was it as big a risk as it is now? It wasn't, was it?
But as I said, and I think Moyes has proved that. Moyes has proved it in the last 10 months, okay, where the results haven't been great overall for 10 months in the league. They haven't, right now, whereas playing safe isn't always safe. And as I've just said, playing safe and playing the way that we play isn't the only way to win a game. If you look at Brighton, if you look at Brentford, if you look at some of these teams, you don't have to just play like that, but in order to get results, you don't have to.
But you must admit, go back to the Aston Villa game and go back to the Wolves game. 2 games we absolutely needed to win, and so style went out the window.
Aston Villa was fuck lucky. We got a deflected goal from Fornells.
Style went out the window. We won the game. Who cares, right? We beat Wolves. Who cares? Style went out the window, right?
See, it is funny in this argument because I listen to Nick and I hear myself from when Allardyce got promoted, saying exactly the same things. But then I'm thinking, but when I watch West Ham under Moyes, I don't see it, Nick. I don't see it. The Allardyce years, for me, I wouldn't even write them down in the record books. I would go relegated 2011.
Do you know what it is for me though?
Nice. Point village.
But do you know what it is for me? 1 minute. What it is for me, honestly, right? Over style of football, what really fucking upsets me and makes me, infuriates me, is when we set up negatively and we don't go to win a game. That fucks me off beyond belief. I can't tolerate it.
I don't see it, Nick, because I can't see that from Moyes. I don't see that.
I've just given you loads of examples.
Right, two great comments here, right? And this shows, given what we said earlier about Zola and Paju and everything else.
Love Paju.
Dougie Montana says, he says, well, you love Paju, but Nick, that season where we just about scraped the playoff final, right?
I know.
We were fucking, Nick, we were rubbish. I
tell you what,
rubbish.
FA Cup final, though. FA Cup final.
No, I'm talking about the championship
one good
year.
Season. Paju had one. He came in from Reading, and he did okay.
Yeah,
but not great. But got us into the playoffs. But we'd had all that where we'd had Roder and then we'd had Brooking, and Brooking was fantastic, you know. And then Paju turns up and picked by Brooking, and then you know it weren't great. There was one game I remember. There was a couple of games I can quote with Paju because I'm pretty good. We played Stoke. I think Stoke had one shot on target. Adi Akinbaye, he scored. We had no answer under Paju of what to do. And there was another game where I think it was Norwich and I think they had Peter Crouch on loan, strangely enough. Yeah. And we were lucky to get a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
And Paju was in the championship, was dire. And we scraped, you know, we lost the first playoff final. My God, I you know, there was a bit of me that thought, in the championship, wouldn't it be good to go to a playoff final, you know? And we were not Wembley, we would go to Cardiff, you know, because we'd watched all these. I'd watched the Charlton Sunderland ones, and you know, and you think, isn't this fantastic? And then you go to a playoff final and lose. And my life,
it's the worst thing.
the most gut wrenching I've ever walked out.
No, it's better. We've
relegation.
Done that.
I felt better being relegated. than I did after that.
I totally agree. That was miserable. That Palace game.
I went to all of them. Went to all them bloody playoffs.
But it was brilliant the following year. It was brilliant the following year. We just about scraped the playoffs twice. But I'll tell you what, he played the playoffs. Apart from that first final, he played the playoffs absolutely perfectly. Paju. Yes. And then the first season, back in the Premier League, where we were not supposed to do that, right?
He signed. Who did he sign?
Yossi Benayoun.
That's exactly right for me. Yossi Benayoun.
Yeah.
Brilliant player.
But yeah, he did that. So I think, going back to this. Last year where we had good sucking football. Well, I think you're talking about that one season in the Premier League, right? You're not talking about the 2 seasons in the Championship.
No. For me, right? the last era we had good year. For me, my best season supporting West Ham was 15-16.
The last season at the Bowling was just outstanding, right? It was outstanding.
Was fucking unbelievable. We was literally beating everyone. We was beating everyone that season.
Apart from when we drew 7 games on the trot.
But that was the injuries, Nigel. We had injuries then.
To one player. Yeah, it's funny it coincided with him getting injured and we started winning when he come back.
I know.
But the funny thing about 15-16, I think was also, it was so unexpected. Yeah. Because we'd had that for 4 years, an absolute pile of dross. That man had the cheek to serve up, and Bilic, 4th choice manager. Yeah, and it was just we had we started early because we started in the July with the European early qualifiers. And which, sadly we blew. But European football was back, which we hadn't had in about, what would it have been, 10 years, I think, 9 years since we'd had European football at Upton Park. So, and plus, I think the emotion of that season played a part of it as well, Nick. But I'll make you right, that
it was amazing.
One season that will live for those that lived it forever.
It was magical, right? It was absolutely magical. What happened?
No.
But for if you could write a script, if you could write a film script about our last season,
especially that final game as well.
Right? Yeah. It was brilliant. That most of that season, there were a couple of upsets like where we lost at home to Swansea and stuff.
I'll give you 2 examples quickly of the West Ham way for me. Yeah. The first one, and it's the playoff final with Palace. Yeah. Palace only got into the playoffs because West Ham scored with the last kick of the game away at Wigan. Yeah. Palace, so we knocked Wigan out of the playoffs because I was up there at that game thinking, "Fuck me, we've got to come back here in midweek for the semi-final." And Wigan were all celebrating because they'd never ever finished in that high in the league. Yeah. And Brian Dean, with the last touch of the game, heads the ball in. And what we don't know is that knocks them out, puts Palace in. We got to play Ipswich now. I forgot a new Palace had to play. I don't think they might have had to play Sunderland off the top of my head, who had finished 3rd. And then so Palace are only there because of us. Yeah. So there's the West Ham way there. Yeah. And the other West Ham way is that the closest we've ever been to Champions League football is 15-16, and then our last 3 games. We lost to Swansea at home, beat Man United, and lost to Stoke City.
Yeah.
Only so the 2 games you would have thought would have got points from, we did nothing. And the one, but I tell you what, if there's one game you would have wanted your life to win, it would have been that Man United game.
Oh God,
And there is the West Ham way.
I would have taken Liverpool in the FA Cup final. That would have been a nice one.
Well, listen, there were only 35,000 of us inside the ground that night.
But Nick, there's another one. The West Ham way.
Right?
We've got the ball, and what do we do with it? We panic.
Me and Nick were actually at that game together, weren't we, Nick?
We were,
games together. It was,
all game.
It was a long drive back.
My nephew, we ain't going to win this. Don't get excited. Tune him up. Calm down. But it's ain't going to last. It's ain't going to last. It's ain't going to last. I can still see it. The geezer, because we were sitting above, we were on the side, on the seg line by Liverpool fans. Their fans were gone. They were beat. and the geezer reeled the ball up 4 minutes, and I looked to my nephew and went, Bill, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
So for the first time all game, I've gone, we are gonna do this.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I saw that clock tick 90, we were behind the goal. When I saw that clock tick 90, I had exactly the same thought. I thought, that's it, we're going to do it. And I didn't think it until then. There's another unique thing that's a West Ham way, and I think this is unique to West Ham fans,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
As long as someone gives 100%, they can be fucking shit, right?
Yeah.
But as long as they give 100%, we'll forgive them. Ian Dowie is the prime example of that. But I'll tell you what, there was one that he weren't shit.
People laugh. No, but people don't realise. Runner-up in Hammer of the Year.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. But there was another player who wasn't a great player. He wasn't a great player for us, but I used to really enjoy watching him because he won free kicks all the time. And that was Trevor Morley. So when you sent that invite out the other day,
I thought Morley was a good player.
You saw like David Cross and everyone else. The one that stuck out for me was Trevor Morley. I'd love to meet Trevor Morley. You know, I thought he was a bit of an unsung hero for us. You know.
He was.
But that's always the way. That is always the way with West Ham. So look.
Anyway, what we'll do is we'll put a number up after as well. So what we'll do is we'll take a few callers if anybody does want to sort of call in and give their quick take on this subject that we're talking about now. But just very quickly, right? So Nigel, if there are fans out there, which there clearly are, that are seeing the style of football that is being played at the moment by David Moyes, as you did against Allardyce, which was negative and not the West Ham way, not what you was brought up with, are they wrong for wanting something different? I know you don't think it is negative,
and that's why it's hard for me to think they're not wrong. Because one thing about West Ham as well,
it's all about interpretation, though, isn't it? It's all about interpretation
as well, and therefore, I always believe that a manager should be given every chance to him, and you know, not sacking a manager after 5 or 6 games.
I'm a ruthless fuck with managers.
Well, you are. I think and this is the thing. You look back to John Lyall.
They're performing a function for me. If they stop performing that function, they can fuck off. From someone else can come in.
1976, we were lucky not to get relegated. He got the European Cup Winners' Cup final. Yeah, that was John Lyall's first full season as manager. 75, 76. 76, 77, we're lucky to stay up. 77, 78, we're gone.
Yeah,
but we don't sack him. We don't go up the first season. We do. I think we finish about 6th or 5th, top 3 go. We don't really do anything. But he's allowed to clear the deadwood. Yeah. Bearing in mind, this is some of the players that he's brought in after he's took over from Greenwood. He's allowed to clear the deadwood and bring in his own players. And from that, we get what I call the second golden era of West Ham, which is between 1979 and 1986.
Yeah. Great years.
Yeah, indeed.
So a couple of little comments here.
He would have been sacked by you, Nick.
He would have been gone. He would have been gone. Without a fucking shadow of a doubt.
I know. But before you go through the comments, Gal, quickly, because there's a question for all of us. So, look, personally, for me, I don't think there is. I think if what you're watching, you're not enjoying as a West Ham fan. Because of the style of football, because for me myself, I don't look. I like winning. We all like winning, but if the results ain't there, it's fucking hard work. I mean, for instance, you will never ever see a more boring 45 minutes against Fulham. That was hard work, and that was the longest 45 minutes as well. So for me, I think if that's your interpretation, that's how you're seeing it. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think everybody should be able to have their opinion on this. Yeah. If you're happy with it, you're happy with it. If you're not, you're not. As Gary said, it's not perfect. But let me say this now. Do you think that with the players that Moyes has got available, do you think that David Moyes could, given time, produce a style of football that could make everyone happy?
Yes.
You think he could?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, not everyone, Nick. I've known you for the last year now.
Yeah, I think he's learning.
Exceptions to the rule.
I think Moyes is learning. I think he's a bit more than a one-trick pony, right? So I think he can.
For me, he's not English, but he's Scottish, so I'll take that. You know, he's a British manager. You know, it's weird. I'm sort of glad Chelsea are doing well now under Potter, and the reason
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that
yeah.
is because these managers never in the past have ever been given that chance.
No.
And now the likes of Eddie Howe and Potter are being given teams with money, and they're actually showing that English managers can do it.
It's good to see, isn't it? It's
It
good to
is
see,
good
innit?
to see.
I really
Yeah.
like it. I really like it. I'm pleased for Potter, and
Yeah.
Brighton have just started getting some bad results as well. So
that was
all
always
good.
going to hurt them, though.
Yeah. So a few definitions of the West Ham way. So at the Hammer 82 has said to me the West Ham way is promoting our youth players. Again, it's another definite, and that's something that's perhaps been missing. But then, you know, it's such a small percentage of players who make it these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
John says the West Ham way is or was simply about playing entertaining football and outscoring your opponents. Well, yeah, the entertaining football. I think, look, if I go along to a football match, this is where I agree with you, Nick. Football is a nice day out, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice day out. You go along,
first of all.
You go along, you have a chat with people you like chatting to and everything else. You have a couple of beers and everything, and you want to be entertained. You want to have something to get your teeth into. If he's completely uninterested on the pitch and we lose, there's two ways of looking at this, right? If we go for a game, if we really go for a game, go after a game and we lose, I'll leave the game feeling quite satisfied.
Yeah.
Right? If we don't go after a game and we lose, I'll leave the game feeling pissed off.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my sort of psyche.
Yeah, no, I'll get that. But,
there is a comment here, which is Richard Stevens says, when first supporting West Ham, they were inconsistent from game to game. You never knew what West Ham would show up. Now, when I'm debating this with people at work or whatever, luckily the workforce where I am, the company where I am, we've just doubled our West Ham United supporter base to 2. Obviously, I was the one. But you know, and I'm sitting in an office full of like Liverpool, mainly Arsenal, and a few of them, the Spurs as well. And I would sit there and say, but the beauty of West Ham is, and this for me is the beauty of West Ham rather than West Ham way, is when I go to the game, I don't know whether we're going to win or not.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes me keep going back.
Yeah, and that could be against anyone, right? That could be against anyone. Yeah,
exactly right. I know we can beat Man United. I know we can beat Liverpool. I know we can beat Chelsea. But Jesus, I know we can lose to Nottingham Forest. We can lose to Fulham, and we can lose to Wolves. Yeah. And the funny thing is, it weren't until Moyes, really, I think 2 seasons ago, when we finished 6th, that actually we beat the teams we should have and lost to the teams that actually we should have lost to. Where last season, strangely enough, we beat Man City. We knocked Man City out of the cup. We'd never done that before. We beat Man United. We beat Liverpool. We beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
It was only Arsenal, actually, that we didn't do a number on. So we got results against all them teams, but then we did go and lose against. You know, we only got a point against Burnley at home.
Yeah.
You know, and that is for me the beauty of West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I do think that David Moyes, I think he's going to get time anyway because he will grind out enough results to fucking to stay where he is. He ain't going nowhere the fuck. He's going to be here for 10 years.
That out, yeah.
But no. What I'm saying is, I do think that, for instance, when we're a bit more comfortable, as he proved in that European game, when we're a bit more comfortable, and he gets a bit more faith in these players, I've got to have faith that he will kind of be braver in games, and he'll look at a team that he's going up against and think, no, we can fucking beat them. We can literally beat them off the pitch. That's kind of what I want to. That's what I want to see. I want to see us coming out of the blocks to, you know, not showing teams respect, literally coming out of the blocks to beat them. And I do think that given time, once he's got all of the players in all the positions that he trusts, you know, where he doesn't need fullbacks being maybe babysat, where he doesn't need maybe centre backs, Nigel, being shielded by 2 central defensive midfielders. Yeah. When he isn't in that scenario, then I've got to hope, and I've got to just hope that he will progress into a different style.
I I've got to pick Greeno up on this
Wish
one.
you would.
Trevor Morley was the last player to score with diving headers. Now players seem afraid of it. I'll tell you what, my favourite diving header that I remember was Leroy Rossini against Nottingham Forest. Do you remember that? When it was a 3-0, I think it was a 3-0.
I don't remember it. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that was
one of
David Kelly
Cloughey's.
David Kelly got the other 2 goals.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But one of them he scored on the floor.
Yeah.
David Kelly, who actually does have one leg shorter than the other.
Yeah.
Perhaps summed up why he was so shit at West Ham. There's a West Ham way, Tony Cotty's big replacement turns down Bayern Munich and Liverpool to join West Ham.
God.
And we all wish he hadn't.
Yeah, absolutely right. So this is a good question. What car did John Lyle drive? I'm going to go for a Jag.
Can't tell you actually.
Go on.
Well,
he knows it.
He was there. I'm pretty sure he did drive a Jag while he was under, but when he left, he was allowed to keep the company Mercedes.
There you go.
Right.
So, GJ Thomas, does that answer your question, or have you got a different answer?
GJ Thomas.
If he's got a different answer, I'll go run to him.
He says great Daimler. I said Jaguar, Daimler, same thing. You know what I mean? So
he did have a Jag, but when he left, he was allowed to keep the company Mercedes.
Right, fair enough. John said he drove a
that
full.
Was nice of him.
How dare you, John? How dare you? Was it a 2.8i Gear X? Was it?
What the
Granada?
That's Scorpio, isn't it?
Scorpio, yeah. My dad had one of them. That's a brilliant car. That was.
They were tanks.
Yeah, he had the Cosworth one, didn't he?
It was a Cosworth. It was a Cosworth Scorpio. Yeah, fucking brilliant car. Brilliant car. Right. Okay. Well, look, we've done Moyes. We've done Moyes and the West Ham way to death. That's done. We'll leave the number up if anyone does want to call in. Then call in. But let's look ahead to the game tomorrow, Southampton. So Gary, what are you expecting tomorrow? We've all heard the news that Kurt Zouma is isolating. We don't know. We don't know whether he's going to be available. Dawson as well. We're not 100% sure if Dawson is going to be available. There's some reports saying he went off with a dead leg. So what are you expecting from Moyes tomorrow? Do you think he'll?
I think he'll go for it tomorrow because I think they're there for the taking. I think this is Hassan Hootel's last game. By the way, Hassan Hootel in English means what?
Go on.
Rabbit hole.
Ah, really? There you go.
Yes.
How many managers has Moyes got sacked now?
Does
he get credit for Tuchel as well?
I think he gets credit for Tuchel because that happened the week after, didn't it? It weren't immediately, but it gets the week after. So this could be the third. It could be a hat trick for him. Yeah. So look, I think it's going to be tough. I think with Southampton, but it's all about that first goal.
Yeah.
Can we nick that first goal? Because if we do that, then they're going to have to open up and come after us. And I'm really looking forward to it because I've seen several wins down at Southampton, and I think the only one we didn't win was when you came with me, Nick, last year.
I've been 3 times and I've never seen us win.
Have you not?
No.
Stay away from there. Stay away.
I've been 3 times. Yeah. Fucking place. Hate it.
Listen, I hope the defence is in good order tomorrow because I think with Zouma probably being out, I think Dawson just had a dead leg the other day, so it'd be Dawson and Kera. So that suggests
I've got the predicted team. Do you remember?
Go on,
So this is the 6'2" predicted team.
Yeah.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Fabianski in goal. Johnson right back. Johnson, Kera, Dawson, Creswell. So Kera's now moving into the middle to part of Dawson.
That works. Johnson out there. That works.
Yeah. Then we go Rice and Soucek defending the midfield. And then our attackers are Bowen, Paqueta, Fornals and Scamacca. Right.
So it's kind of as you'd expect, right? It's a similar team to last week, isn't it? Other than that slight defensive tweak.
Does Benny not deserve a shot on the left-hand side in one of these games?
To my mind, yes.
Who are you dropping then?
Fornals.
Oh, you're dropping Fornals.
On the left wing? I love Fornals, but he ain't no left winger, Nige.
No, I'd go for that. I must agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what I would do. I would drop Soucek, put Fornals in the middle and put Benny in.
I'd drop Soucek and put Downs in the middle.
Well,
I think Downs is quality.
We bring him through in the European this season.
Yeah.
And then next year when Rice joins, Chelsea or Man City,
Yeah.
will bring Flynn in to be Rice's replacement.
Do you think he is? Do you think that's why he's joined? Is he the Rice replacement? Because he is a very similar player to Rice, isn't he?
Yeah, I think there's sort of a little bit of future proofing. At the end of the day, the bloke he's had contracts offered him for the past 2 seasons and turned them down. With any luck, I don't know. There's a bit of me that will be disappointed if we don't win a trophy this season. And that trophy being the European one. Though I do notice Roma are sitting third in the Europa League group.
Yeah.
And look like they may finish there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think this is a trophy that we can win. Very capable of winning. And would that be enough? Declan Rice.
What for a statue? For a statue of David Moyes outside the ground?
No. If we was going to have a statue of any manager, I think it would have to be Greenwood
outside the stadium.
Yeah, it would be.
I wouldn't go that far. But at the end of the day, look, if Moyes wins a trophy, he becomes only the 3rd manager in our history.
Look, listen. If
it's a 5-year deal,
that is one thing. Do you know if there is only one thing, but there is only one thing that could play when you play a pragmatic style? I think you need success. Personally, I would never experience that. I think because it's like Chelsea have had tons of success with a pragmatic manager, Mourinho. Because that's what he is. They basically shit ass their way to a title, didn't they? With that's what they did. If that brings us success and we start experiencing winning things off the back of it, then maybe many people will start changing the way that they think. But if that pragmatic approach does nothing other than achieve you mediocrity, that means you're getting mediocrity in terms of football and mediocrity in terms of achievements.
Can I just say, Nick,
I won't disagree with you, Nick, there, but as per usual, I just don't see that type of football at the moment under Moyes.
What is pragmatic, though? The meaning of pragmatic, reading it out here, is dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than...
You're sending me asleep. You're sending me asleep.
No, listen. Dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. So what that's saying is, Nick, is all that fucking bullshit inside your head where you're just thinking, oh, fuck, if only did this, we'd win 7-0. All that nonsense. Dave ain't thinking of all that. That's all theoretical considerations. He's dealing with a practical only. The practical.
That's what I do. I win.
Exactly. Well, I don't. God,
that's it. That's all he does.
I did laugh when he said that.
Yeah. That was fucking boring, Gary. I reckon, yeah.
How pragmatic of you.
Yeah, so boring. But anyway, yeah. So tomorrow, I'm expecting us to beat Southampton. I actually am. I'm expecting us to beat Southampton tomorrow. I expected us to beat Fulham. I didn't expect us to fucking give me a heart attack in the first 15 minutes. But I do think against Southampton, I don't think our record against him is particularly bad. I don't think they've been playing very well at all. He is skating on Finois. Just get turn into Doddsy. He is skating on Finois.
Handsome.
I know. He's skating on Finois. Hassan Hootel. He's down a rabbit hole. Moyes does seem to enjoy playing against managers that are in this position. He seems to enjoy being the least worst of the two. So he's as he was, because that Wolves game, that was pretty much, I think, if we'd have lost against Wolves, he would have been properly.
Yeah, we've done this to death. So Richard Stevens says always thought games against Southampton a tricky game. It's a 1967 where we lost 6-2, and then in 71 winning 3-0 and finally drawing 3-3.
Yeah.
Great game. I was only alive for the third one.
I'm going to go 2-0 anyway. 2-0 West Ham. Gary, what's your score?
2-1.
2-1. Nigel?
Yeah.
12-0. Expansive football. We're going to smash
expansive football.
It's
FIFA. Man City game. Yeah, go on.
Do you know, funny enough, I'm going to go. I did think 0-0. I think they will absolutely dig in and fight for their lives.
Southampton. Yeah. Well, they are. It's like it all depends. If Hassan Hutel was lost the dressing room, then they won't play for him. But if they have got anything, obviously you would expect them to come out and play for their manager if he is on the verge of being sacked. So it all depends whether or not he's lost that group of players or not, Nigel. I think
if you think of all the good managers they've had in the past, he's the longest serving Premier League manager Southampton have ever had.
Yeah, it was going to catch up
That's
with
true,
them.
actually, isn't it? That's true. Yeah.
But Southampton's model, I know they've got a really good infrastructure. They've got a really good way of scouting players and stuff like that. But if your policy is to just keep on selling your best players, it's only going to end up one way eventually, isn't it?
Well, you
can't keep on doing that.
Yeah. And there was a comment earlier saying that we're a selling club. I don't think we are anymore.
We're not anymore.
I don't think we are anymore.
I don't think we have been.
Question for Nigel, by the way, from James Bong. Question for Nigel. Is it true that Moyes has already won more away European games than Greenwood and Lyle combined? By the way, Moyes out. How dare you, James?
I would believe to be true, because even in the great in the runs of if you look at 75-76 with Lyle, what made it so great was we generally definitely the last two where we played Den Haag we lost, and then went through on away goals. So I think we lost 4-2 out in Den Haag. And then, obviously, in Frankfurt, we'd lost, but won 3-1 at Upton Park to go through. I think we lost 2-1 away. So that happened again, I think, a few times. So if you think... But he's played more games, though. The thing is...
There was no group stage, though. There was no group stages. We've played in 2 group stages, haven't we?
You know, and... He didn't. I don't know. Did he?
It's like Bowen has scored as many goals as Budgie Byrne in Europe. Well, you can't compare one with it. It's not apples with apples, is it?
I think what you got to look at is how many games. So Budgie Byrne would have had 2 European campaigns. 65, 66. 64, 65, 65, 66.
Yeah.
So we got the final in one. We got the semi-finals in the other. So. Bearing in mind back then, you played 1, 2, 3, 5 rounds, including the final. So there would have been
because
32, round of 16, round of 8.
It was similar for the old European Cup, wasn't it? You didn't play many games to win it, did you?
No, it was 32 because it was only cups. There was 32 teams that were entered. So you literally went round. So
Guarino is also a Gary and Pragmatic as well. Yeah, well said, Guarino.
Oh, he's back. See, Richard Stevens has got it, losing 4-0 at half time. Den Haag. So he's. I think it's
West Ham way 2-0 to Southampton. Well, that is another. Another aspect to the West Ham way. Let's be fair. Of course, it is.
But there's so many varieties of the West Ham way.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. You're on fire,
and that's what makes it special, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
You smoking the strawberry flavour, is it? Nick, I can smell. Is that strawberry?
It's a bit of pink guava, Nigel.
Pink guava.
Oh, dear God.
Glenn's very working class.
Oh no, 4-1 to West Ham. Let's see. Southampton can't score goals in too many. West Ham show up. Yeah, we want West Ham to show up. Ideally, driving down there, a couple of hours. Sensible in defence, pragmatic in midfield, and sexy in attack. Yeah, that's right, Guarino. 3-0 to the Cockney boys, says Budgie. If we defend, we'll win 1-0.
Yeah.
All right.
I do believe that the way that Guarino just eloquently described the way that we set up, I think that's fine. I think that's right as well.
Oh, so you'll go for that. Sensible in defence, pragmatic in midfield, sexy in attack.
I think that perfectly describes the way that we play.
I think it does,
the only thing that I would say, Guarino, I would accept that if for us to be sexy in attack, that means that when we play a 4-2-3-1, which should be an attacking formation, I think everyone would agree, would be when we play the left-sided player 4-nails, that has to be an attacking player, because otherwise, that's where it gets muddied. If we were to play the way that we're playing,
you saying 4-nails is not attacking minded?
No, not when he plays in the team on the left-hand side. He ain't Nigel. Not Gary. Where was he? Where was he when I showed you the other day?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Nick on Fornals. Is that I think he's kind of attacking intensity has almost died out.
He's been moist.
Yeah, he's turned into this defence first player. I wish he wasn't. I thought he was quite
fantastic saying, Nicholas. He's been moist.
I'm going for a 3-1 West Ham win, says West Hamian.
He's like a shadow of the player that he was.
Sorry, important question, right? Is JJ Thomas another Gary? Is that another Gary, or is that a George, or whatever? Is that another Gary?
There can't be many more Garys.
Let's hope it's another Gary. Let's hope it's another Gary, because we're nearly dead. We're nearly dead. We lost 4-0.
Not like the Nigels, mate. I tell you.
I know they're almost gone. Yeah.
We've been foraged into history.
4-0 down. Oh, you know what? That one there, that 4-0 at Southampton, first game of the season at their ground. That was, if I remember rightly, that was the first game that Cotty played for Everton, and he got a hat trick on his debut.
Yeah, it was.
I was at that Southampton
88.
game. I was at that Southampton game. I got food poisoning later that night from a kebab. And we camped down the New Forest. You were there, Nick. You came to the New Forest, and that one we went down to Somerset.
Yes.
Yeah, you were only little, just 10 years younger than me. He was tiny. You know?
We're still little now, but don't pick on him.
Yeah, I know.
I'm little. I'm tiny.
We need to win 1-3 West Ham. Yeah. Daniela says, I think we, the player bought in Rice, has think about saying one of the big six. Yeah, I think he's not going to be captain. No, he won't be captain of one of the big six. Of course he won't. And he won't play the games he likes to play. No, he'll be fit into more of a system. I don't know. I think he's fitting into a system with us, to be honest. Brady out.
Brady out.
Need to win some more 3 points and keep the momentum going. Yeah, of course we do. Oh, Moyes ain't going anywhere. Southampton were a dirty team back in the fight. Yeah, they were. That game where we got stuffed. Jimmy Case played for them, didn't he?
Yeah, but Jimmy Case
didn't he take? Yeah, he was. He took fucking Stuart Slater out in that game. I'm sure he took Stuart Slater out in that game. I need to look back. Right, I think that's the same game we're talking about. Jimmy Case was a.
I think that was a bit before.
No. I've got to look at that. Nigel, go back and look at your history. I went to one Southampton game. Jimmy Case took, I think, Stuart Slater out. I'm sure it must have been that one. I could be wrong. Right. Rice is gone next summer. Yes, he is. Yeah, I think. I
don't buy it. I don't buy it because.
How do you not buy it?
I don't buy it because I don't think just anyone can buy him, and I don't think Chelsea. I don't necessarily think. The rumor is now that Potter. That all stems from Lampard. He's just bought a place in Surrey. He wants that Chelsea move, but that's only if Chelsea are willing to pay the money for him. I don't think they need Rice. Do they need Rice? Really? Don't know. It's all down to whether Potter will do that. Obviously, I think Potter is more likely to bring some of his youth academy through and stop playing people like Gallagher and players like that. I think that's what he'll do.
Maybe, but have you read the latest comments from Jurgen Klopp where he's saying, it's really bad. It's really bad that Man City and Newcastle have got unlimited budget. Oh, we're fucking crying for you. I'm crying for you, mate.
Yeah.
And then a couple of Chelsea fans butted in and said, "Yeah, Klopp's right." Well, you would say that, wouldn't you, mate? You now haven't got unlimited budget like you always have in the past. I'm crying inside for you.
How much did he pay for Darwin Núñez?
Yeah, exactly. And he's rubbish.
90 million?
He's the Portuguese Andy Carroll, apparently. Nigel is legendary. There you go, Nigel.
Just to confirm, that was Slater's first start for West Ham. That game.
Right.
So it must have been that game.
And did he go off injured?
He went off.
Yeah. Jimmy Case smashed into him. He took him out. You know, I remember it. So Jimmy Case, dirty fucker. So losing 4-0 half time. Oh, yeah. 2-4. I've already been through that already. I called a fire brigade. Nick's on fire. Someone's on the bong. Not the James bong, just the bong.
Just the bong.
Yeah. Put the Cypress Hill on in a minute.
Nick, you smile.
No, I'm not. I've got a thingy bob machine.
Nick is spontaneously combusted. Like he's not pragmatic. You know, you're not pragmatic, Nick. You're definitely not.
I am sometimes pragmatic.
You're not pragmatic. No, you're far away. It was great when the European Cup competitions were straight knockout. Yes, it was. Mason Greenwood has been charged with rape. Yes, he has. I hope he gets convicted if he did it, which he sounds like he did. So, but right. What am I doing here? Emerson on the left. Fornell's
pretty bang to rights with a
has
phone
been
call, to be
moist.
quite honest. It's not really up for debate, is it? Let's face it.
Nah,
Everyone's heard them.
Sorry, I'm miles behind on these comments, aren't I? Mick Shannon. We'll do the windmill, the Mick Shannon windmill. Play for Southampton. He booted the ball over the goal and knocked out a police officer behind me. I was in the home end with a few of the others. Yeah. I love Stuart Slater as well, Garino. He was one of my favourite players. I really enjoyed him. If only he hadn't got too big for his boots and got flogged as a striker. Silly git to Celtic.
I'm not sure about
he could have been
for his boots still.
He could have been an England left winger.
I
right?
don't see it. I'll tell you why. Powder puff. Listen, I love Stuart Slater, and I see him one day.
Do you remember that Everton game?
Yeah, in the Tour apart. I tell you what, I'm pretty sure we played Bristol City the next week, and they put him into the freaking dugout. Yeah, I don't know if the geezer was called Tinian or whatever. Absolutely done what Jimmy Case done to him, and you didn't see him for the rest of the. Well, I don't think we saw him for the rest of the season. To be fair, once he made a name for himself, he was the king of the keepy uppies, wasn't he?
Everington was like that, to be fair, though. If someone got stuck into him early on, he disappeared.
Yeah, so
he was a bit like that, wasn't he? I liked Everington as well. I liked him as well.
Yeah. Slater's problem was that Liam Brady was his agent at one point, and then Brady went to manage Celtic and said, "I know what would be a good career move. Come and join Celtic." Yeah, right.
Yeah, brilliant. Klopp doesn't love a good moan. Yes, he does.
Oh yeah,
he does. Biggest moaner out there.
It was proper salty, wasn't it?
It was. I don't think Rice is going this summer. Not with Scamacca.
No, I'm with you, Daniela. I'm with you on that one. I think if we were going to if we were going to have any chance of changing his mind, and I know people might say, "Oh yeah, look, anything less than Champions League, we're not going to keep him." But if we start playing well with the players that we've just brought in, because like I said last season, I think we'd all agree, Declan Rice was the big fish in the small pond, wasn't he? He was the big player. I don't think that's the case now. I think he still is one of the superstars. But now, when you look at the likes of Scamacca, Paqueta, he isn't the standout superstar now, is he? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
His performances have dropped, but I don't think we can criticise him because his performances would but you know what West fan base is like.
Yeah, I won't criticise Rice.
You're thinking, well, hold up a minute, this geezer has been head and shoulders the best player that we've had. Every season he's got better and better. There's bound to be a fallback.
We'll put it this way, Nigel. Anyone that's loved the last two seasons, they owe as much to Declan Rice as they do to David Moyes.
Exactly right. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a bit of protectionism. He wants to go to the World Cup.
I think he wants,
he puts himself about too much and picks up an injury.
And do you know every player's got that on their mind? No, that's Declan Rice. Everyone's going to be doing that.
Of course, he's different class. He's absolutely different class, and I think the important thing is, right, we do need to learn about life after Rice. And so, in a way, the last few weeks where he hasn't quite been last few months where he hasn't quite hit the heights that he did last season, but we've still kind of developed and we've started winning games. That kind of makes me feel a little bit better about life after Rice. Now, I think if Downs comes in, if he carries on progressing the way he is, he could be. I think we could be in a position where, of course, we're going to miss Rice. No one wants to see him go.
I don't want to think about life after Rice.
It won't be.
I don't think we have to.
What I'm saying is, it won't be such a body blow that we thought it would have been last year, because he was head and shoulders above everyone last year and the season before. And you said last year, Nick, you're saying when he goes, we're fucked. We're like a bottom six team. Right.
Well, we would never. If you took Rice away from us last season, you can take 5 or 6 places away from us.
Yeah. So anyway, look, hopefully it won't come to that. So I've been corrected. Amared says Nunez is Uruguayan, not Portuguese. He's still shit though, isn't he? So Uruguayan Andy Carroll then.
He played in Portugal, didn't he? But no, I think he's shit for Liverpool. But again, what I do like about that, the players that we have been linked with, fair enough. You go to Liverpool, it's hard to go to kind of shine. I think. But I think he would have been a good player for us, as would the other player that they signed that they nicked from us. Was it Diaz? We apparently was supposed to be getting that Luis Diaz, and Klopp came in and got him, because Moyes confirmed that, didn't he, after the January window. So we have been looking at some bloody good players for a few windows now.
I agree. This is an interesting one. Emerson on left wing instead of Fornells. I'll take that as well.
Yeah,
so we've got another question. James Bong for Nigel. Dear proprietor of the West Ham United Museum, Nigel, is it really true that Moyes has already... Oh, right, fucking hell. Stop repeating yourself, James. Come on. Foot injury did it for Slater. And was it Jimmy Case? Because I'm sure it was. Right.
No, the foot injury was...
was that later on? At Celtic.
Yeah.
Why would you want... Oh.
No, we was talking about something else here.
Yeah. That goal v Sunderland. Oh, yes. Yeah. That
5-0.
Yeah, that one where it was straight from a goal kick, wasn't it? A goal kick, a flick on,
yeah,
on his chest, and
5-0. I wonder who the manager was that day. Oh yes, the pragmatist Lou Macari.
Yeah. No, but their manager, the opposition manager that day for Sunderland, was very salty, wasn't he?
The what?
The opposition manager. Who was it? It was very salty.
No, it wasn't Malcolm Crosby, was it?
I don't know, but he was very salty. I remember him saying they were unlucky. Of course they weren't unlucky. They got stuffed. Yeah. Slates was one of my favourites too. Mix of Parker and Noble. Yeah, I mean, look, he had just a rapid pace, and I it makes me excited. You know, like Devonshire and all that. It makes me excited to see a winger who runs at
Parker and Noble sounds like they make luggage.
Yeah, that's right. Matty Holmes. Yeah, he was a decent little player, Matty Holmes. We offered Rice 200 bags a week, says Darren, on an 8-year contract, and he's refused to sign. He's gone, lads, stop dreaming. Not dreaming, Darren. Not dreaming. He won't be here. Yeah. He's captain at West Ham. Why would he want to leave?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, Laters.
Fucking hell.
I'd always remember Slater in the FA Cup quarters. Yeah, Everton. He had a great game, run ragged. Yeah, that was that one where that was the only game. Yeah. My mum... Was that the away one?
No, I don't want to break it to Chris, but he did score and we did win.
Yeah.
Colin Foster got the other goal, I believe.
There was an Everton game at Goodison Park that we lost. I think that was in the league where we lost 2-1, but went 1-0 up through Stuart Slater.
The quarter final. Yeah,
that was our mum's only game that she went to. Was away to Everton at Goodison Park. Would love to see a show, Nigel, on the memorabilia he's gained over the years. Well,
some of it from
that would be some show. That'd be a long show. We'd have to do it. It'd have to be a series. We'd have to do a series.
We could. No, I won't say it. I've got an idea.
I know. It's coming. Trust me.
Fucking hell.
The tour.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it now. You brought it up, Gal. Fucking hell.
It's in the editing department, Nigel. It's in the editing department.
It is, yeah. It's, I've got to have a word of him.
Rice wants to win all the cups, Champions League. Yeah, of course he does. Green, let's not forget Rice is young. Well, he's 23. So I think the good thing about when you look at Rice, it ain't like the Southampton situation that Nigel discussed earlier, where, you know, they get a young player, he's a young star, he stays with them, plays 30 games, and then he goes and signs for a big club. He would have, by the time he goes, played probably more than 200 games for us, right? Over a almost 6-year period. That ain't a bad stint, is it? And we'll probably get a good price for him as well.
It's more than a stint. He's been
as well. It's over a third of his career, right?
Yeah.
England already lost a fullback from Chelsea out for 8 weeks.
That's right. Yeah, I read that earlier
on. Walker is currently injured. I listened to an interview with him, and it was funny. We were talking about players in the World Cup, where he rung up the surgeon and said, "I need this doing," and the surgeon said, "I'll do it Thursday," and he turned around and went, "Look, I need to make the World Cup." So they did it on the Monday there and then. But then you think, I've got to get back playing for Man City.
Yeah.
I've got to get the World Cup. Yeah. So, you know,
it reinforces your point.
Yeah. You know,
that's it.
Did Rice get the Hammer of the Year last season? He did, didn't he?
He did, yeah, deservedly.
Right. Yeah. So Paqueta would be in contention for the Hammer of the Year by the spring. Well, I hope he is. I hope we've got loads of players in contention by the spring. Scamacca as well, you know.
I think Scamacca more than Paqueta at the minute. I think Paqueta's got a lot more adjusting to do. I think he's going to be a world-class player, but I like him, but I don't know. He
what I was going to say is, see now, right, guys said that, Nick, because this is what I'd say. Yeah. I had a listener to More Than Just podcast sit next to me at the game on Sunday. So, talking about Paqueta, I got a theory that actually it's the players he's playing with that are at fault, not him.
Yes. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Say he gets the ball away, he's putting the ball into places, and our players just ain't reading it.
He's on a different planet. He's on a different planet.
It's like he played a ball in the last game. He played a beautiful ball through, but I think it was Bowen just caught straight on his heels. He weren't expecting it,
and they're not reading it. And actually, the players in training need to start catching up with him and understanding his ability and what he can do and get into the places to get the ball back.
I mean, he is silky smooth, isn't he? When he does move the ball, he's a good player.
I'll tell you what though, if he trapped the ball like he did away at Anderlecht and Billy Bonds was facing him, I'm not sure he landed.
We put him in row 8, shouldn't he? Yeah.
Nigel, I know you weren't very sure of Scamacca when he first came in. What is
I think Scahala, not Scamacca.
Come on, I know, but what do you? He ain't Haller though, is he? He's nothing like Haller.
I think actually, I'll be surprised if he don't get 20 goals all comps this season.
He's brilliant, isn't he? He's a good player.
I think he's shown that he's got the finishing ability that we've long been pining for.
And do you know that passion that he's got, Nige? It's like, the goal that he scored, then there was a 3-minute VAR delay. And the way he exploded and came and sort of celebrated with the fans.
Yeah, but I thought that was a bit stupid because...
Epic's here. Nick, Epic's arrived. Why does Paqueta get a pass for not having end products? I remember he's this Epic Ash time. If you don't know who he is, Nigel, Ben Rama's biggest fan.
All right.
Yeah. Because for a start, Paqueta's only been here a few months. Ben Rama's been here a few years.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, Epic.
Does that answer it?
And you don't get the feeling that Paqueta's. You had the feeling
that funny, isn't it?
Ben Rama was sort of lesser.
Yeah, brilliant. Have a look at this one, Nigel. If you're feeling down, just think how good Lingard is doing.
He's having a mare, isn't he? He's having a mare. Antonio, if he has COVID, they're not admitting to it. They're just isolating him and Zuma, right? No one wants to start one of those things off. So convinced Rice will leave. Yeah, of course he'll leave. Of course he'll leave. Does anyone remember Pop Robson? Yes, of course we remember Pop Robson, Kevin. I loved Pop Robson. Brilliant. Took goals early. Great balance. Lovely player. He had an almost psychic link with Trevor Brooking, didn't he?
Lucky omen. Every time he left us, we won the FA Cup.
That's it.
But we did repay him because after we won the FA Cup, we went and done Sunderland a favour by losing to them 2-0 and allowed them to be promoted and Chelsea not.
So I know. Darren says, Epic Ash Time, Paqueta has never been a goal scorer. He is a creator of goals. Epic Ash Time says, 1 assist isn't good enough. Yeah, I know he's only Brazil's number 10. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you need to fucking force Ben Rama on the pitch.
He's got 2 assists for Scamacca in 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't know where you got the 1 assist from.
We've touched the surface with Paqueta, says Dougie. Exactly. We haven't. The guy is, as Nigel just said, he's doing things that the others just aren't on a level with at the moment. It will come good. The one person he's found to be on the same level as him is Scamacca. And he's finding him.
Can I give you my take? And bearing in mind this season I love Benny, so I've gone from
positive.
but I've gone from being irritated by Benny to this season I like him. Yeah. I think I've been seeing a lot more of him this year. But what I will say is a difference between when you see now Scamacca and Paqueta. For instance, the goal that he scored, not I can't think who it was against now. The one where Soufal nodded it down to Paqueta and then Paqueta knocked it over to Scamacca. Scamacca, one touch, turn. Who was that against?
Was that
Wolves?
Wolves, yeah. Wolves.
That was Wolves. Right, that goal there, what that showed is intelligence. For instance, what happened there, right? Declan Rice.
No, that wasn't Wolves. Wolves was where he hit it from outside the box.
Oh,
That was in the next European game, wasn't it?
Next European game, but yeah, that was when they came on the pitch, wasn't it? But what that was, that showed a level of intelligence that, and I will say this, footballing intelligence I'm talking about. I'm not being abusive, but the likes of Ben Rama hasn't got. For instance, the ball gets comes over from the left hand side, Rice, beautiful crossfield pass. You've got a cluster of players, right? It's coming over to Soufal, who's going to head the ball. Scamacca looks at Paqueta. He tells Soufal where to head the ball. He basically points to Paqueta. He says, nod it to him. He nods it back to Paqueta. Paqueta controls it. Scamacca turns, spins into place. Paqueta finds him. That's football intelligence, and that is what big money buys you. That's the type of thing that I don't necessarily think that maybe Ben Rama has. I think Ben Rama has got loads of technical ability, lots of it, tons of it. Given the ball, he's magic. He can take players on.
Yeah.
But that final ball and that finish and stuff like that, I think that's what the likes of Paqueta and Scamacca have potentially got over Ben Rama.
I think to put it more simply than that, because I agree with you, to put it more simply than that, Paqueta and Scamacca are capable of thinking a few steps ahead.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But that was a brilliant example of that goal. You know, that was Scamacca and Paqueta orchestrated that. They basically pulled Soufal's strings. It was like, no, fucking edit there, give it to him.
This is true. What Garino says. Paqueta's on FM, the others are on AM. Yeah, it's true, especially on Suchek. Richard says Pop Robson. Yeah, he's one of my favourite all-time players as well. I really love Pop Robson, especially in the old second division in those those.
Got a phone call. 1 minute.
Yeah, in the 70s. Have you?
Pop Robson, last West Ham player at the top of the goal scoring charts of the top flight of first division.
Wow.
Hello, Nick speaking.
Are you faking it? Oh no, he's gone on mute. He goes and talks to the callers before.
Didn't do that to me last week.
I know. That's what he does. He just slapped you on, did he?
He just slapped me on, and there I was saying rude things about someone else.
He does this. Look, he goes and has a little chat. He goes and has a little chat in the background, mutes us, you know, gets us ready.
That's what I thought he'd done to me, and then when I played it back,
they're fucking idiots, these blokes, mate. But don't worry, they won't be. Oh, sorry, I'm off mute. Right, this is Budgie. Budgie back for the second side.
Hello, Budgie.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
He don't sound like an helicopter, does he?
Yeah.
Wait, stop it, you. Actually, I was phoning in on the Scamacca and Paqueta pairing. I said a couple of weeks ago that I thought that was going to be like an important part of our future play, you know, from here on in. I think that those two guys have just got the Samba style about them, and they both understand each other's play. So I think, you know, we're going to see good things, providing them two are paired up regularly. I think we'll see, you know, a Cotty McAvenny style partnership. You know,
yeah, possibly
one feeding the other, as it were.
Well, the signs are good, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely.
The signs are good, Budgie. You're of the gentlemanly generation, right? You're yeah. So going back to, did you catch the show earlier on? What we were talking about?
I've been watching for about 40 minutes, I suppose. I got in from work and switched it straight on.
Right.
So yeah, I was listening to most of it, mate.
Well, what it is, we were talking about the West Ham way, and because David Moyes, what we've got at the moment is an awful lot of fans at the minute. As we all know, the fan base is a little bit divided on the style of football. And people mention the West Ham way a lot. Now, do you believe that David Moyes can deliver a style of football that will please everyone? And also, do you actually think the West Ham way is a thing? Is that something that you buy into?
Okay, right. So I'll cover the West Ham way question first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go on, mate.
For me, and you know, my first game was in the 66-67 season. I was only 4, don't remember it.
Yeah.
But I've been West Ham fan ever since, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, the West Ham way is anyone that pulls that shirt on gives 110%. Yeah. That's it. That's the West Ham way. The players give 110%, and us guys out in the stands, in the seats, in the stadium, we got to do the same. We've got to, and that is the West Ham way.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I watch you guys and other channels as well, because, you know, I like to get a different view from everybody. But what I do see from everybody that I watch is, you know, like a West Ham way approach to, you know, I don't really see, you know, anybody directly throwing knives at any individuals within the club. But then, you know, if they've put themselves up for criticism, then it's, you know, it's open season really. But what I like about, you know, the West Ham fan base in general is that, you know, if they see a player out there giving 110%, they kind of, they as you said earlier, Gary, they leave the stadium satisfied.
Yeah.
You know, and win, lose or draw. You know, and that to me is the West Ham way. There is no particular style of play. I think it's just everybody giving their all and leaving bugger all on the pitch.
I think you're right. That's a good point, and I like that as well, because you brought the fans into it, because the fans are a very important, big, you know, massively important part of West Ham, and always have been.
They always have been, you know.
Yeah. I'd like to see us get involved a little bit more, actually.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I remember, you know, at Upton Park, you know, when one group of lads might start singing a chant or a song or whatever, it didn't take very long for the entire stadium to be singing the same bloody song.
Yeah.
You know, whereas now you're getting little pockets around the stadium, and don't get me wrong, everybody's creating an atmosphere around themselves, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's just, I miss the days of when, you know, 34,000 people were all singing the same bloody song.
I agree with
you.
you.
Know, there's only really bubbles now where we do that. But, you know, don't get me wrong. I think the London Stadium's slowly becoming home. Yeah. You know, I'm enjoying my time in the stadium. I love it. I like meeting up with other fans and, you know, and watching the games. It's a great atmosphere in there. And on David Moyes, can he produce football that everybody's going to be happy with? I don't think there's a bloody manager in the world that can do that.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
You know, even Klopp and, you know, Pep, you know, that they produce football that's, you know, winning. They win, but it's not always what every fan wants. You know, I mean, I'm a midfielder by my amateur playing career. You know, I'm a midfielder, so I tend to look at midfielders and strikers a lot more. And I'm happy if we're winning or if we're winning challenges and stuff like that. I don't really pay too much attention to the defence, whereas there might be other people that look more at the defence and so on and so forth, and they're not happy with what they're seeing in midfield and that. So I don't think any manager can produce football that will satisfy the 100% of the fan base.
Yeah.
But, you know, what has he been doing for the last 2 years? We've all been creaming our pants. And now we're having a little bit of a hiccup, and people are starting to poo their pants. So, you know, like, you can't win every battle and you can't win every game. So, you know, for me, I think David Moyes deserves to play, well, to work out at least this season. And, you know, if he proves not to be, you know, progressive enough and so on and so forth, then maybe we should think about replacing him. But I think he deserves at least this season.
Well, if we're not at risk of relegation, he'll get that. He'll get that. I just think if we was kind of toying with relegation for an extended period, then the risk would have been too high. Just looking at that, I'll put your thing up again, Budgie, on the line. Do you think that's ever been a reason for a train cancellation? But no, that's
and it's not a euphemism for a late night tipple either.
But no, have you got any more questions, Budgie? Any?
Not really, guys. I mean, you know, as I said, I came into sort of speak about the Scamacca Paqueta combination.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, in general, I'm pleased with the way that we're picking up our results, and, you know, our actual desire to win a game is coming back. And I think that's been lacking over the, you know, previous few weeks.
It has been, yeah, since the start. Yeah, I think you can see the good feel factors creeping back in, isn't it? To the team, the players.
Yeah, and you know, I'm thinking also that Deck's looking a little more happy with the way things are going on field. So, you know, happy captain, you know, is a good captain in my opinion. You know, so you know, let's hope and pray that Deck sees what he asked to see.
Yeah.
From the board and the management, etc., and does commit himself to another contract with us. Should that not happen, I would say build the team around Flynn Downs, Paqueta and Scamacca.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Gets my vote.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're definitely stronger this year as well in terms of squad. I think. I mean, look. I suppose if you look at it, I said it last year. We started really well. We finished poorly. Take Europe out the equation. What would you rather do? I know I'm not saying that we are going to finish on fire, but would you rather sort of finish a season on fire and go up the league? I probably would. So and I think we've got the squad to do that now. We could build momentum. We could get stronger as the season goes on. We could push up the league. We could still potentially get 6th if it keeps going well. Well, Nigel's looking confused.
No, that's because would you rather you know, be sitting 14th and have a good finish to the league and finish 9th, or would you rather start really well and drop into 7th? Because that's what happened.
Oh yeah, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying sort of reverse the seasons to a degree. I think it would be better to actually sort of, you know, fill your way into a season and then finish on fire. That would
the club
be good.
owners in the old days always preferred us to have a good finish to the season, because that's when the season ticket renewal letters used to go out. Yeah? And if you're on season ticket renewal day, if you was watching a good game of football, you were more likely going to renew it, and you totally forgot the crap that had happened before Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. All right then, Paju. Thank you very much for the call.
Cheers,
right,
Paju.
Guys, thank you guys for your time. I'll speak to you again soon, no doubt.
See you later.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Come on, your ones.
Come on, your ones.
Come on, you guys. There's a great comment from Chris here. Hello, Nick speaking. Does he work for HSBC Customer
Hello, Nick
Support?
speaking. Right. Whoever did try and phone in just now, phone back and I'll get you on. Obviously, we had a caller.
Only if you're a Cockney, though, because so far we've had 4 Cockney voices on this show.
It's good enough.
And I don't want no Dodsey ringing up and fucking tractor land.
I'll tell you what, it was quite funny when he called in the other night, because you had Nick doing his Jeffro voice with him and stuff like that. It was quite good.
And he does sound like that, though, doesn't he? I know.
He does.
He does sound a little bit like that, doesn't he?
So, Lee says, great show, lads. He does do that.
He does. It's funny when people meet him and it's like, see, I told you, he does sound like that. He's a proper carrot cruncher. More than Grant Croxford. By the way, as Lee said, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Right, hit the like button, etc. So the West Ham way is an aspirational philosophy. I'm in my 40s. And can't see a way as such. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right, Jonathan. Yeah. Aspirational. Suchek is an exception to the 100%. I don't know. Ooh. Barney. Is that a question, Barney? I think with a question mark, it probably is.
Probably is. Probably the huge salaries that the players are now on has caused disconnection between the fans and the players. I think, look, even if you go back to, I know it's different on scale, right? On scale, you know, now you're talking about, I don't know, an average player on 50 grand a week. And what's the average salary in this country? 30 grand a year, right? So it's many, many times the, it's like hundreds, thousands of times that a normal person would earn. Whereas back in the day, they were still paid handsomely, but it was probably 10 times.
While they were paid handsomely, they were still out and about in the community.
Gentlemen,
in their normal time.
Sorry to interrupt. Please welcome John.
It still says Paju on the screen.
Hello, Nick, Gary, and Nige.
How you doing,
How you
John?
doing, John? You're a first-time caller,
Yeah,
aren't you?
not bad. Yeah. Yeah, before we get going, where's that lightweight John, Acker Virgil tonight?
He's unwell, mate. His voice is gone. He phoned me earlier on. I don't know whether he was putting it on. It was John. I can't do it tonight.
Is that what he was doing?
Well.
Was he making out he lost his
I
voice?
think he's had too many shandies at lunchtime. I think.
He has.
Yeah, lightweight.
Yeah. How are you anyway?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm not a Cockney. I'm actually from Wellington, Kent.
Oh, fair enough.
A swampy. You Marsh dweller.
Cockney.
A marsh dweller.
He's got his web feet.
Yeah,
Watch out,
that's it.
people.
Yeah.
At least you're not from Dartford. Don't worry.
But what would you like to talk about, John?
Well, obviously, the main chat tonight, the West Ham way and stuff. And,
Yes.
Yeah, so, I posted earlier, I've been following West Ham since 1968, seen more downs and ups.
Yeah.
And that is the West Ham way in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But, very excited about the, the current squad. And I think really it's the best squad I've seen in a long, long time. And as you know, the whole game's changed over the last few years. It's now a squad game. Gone are the days where you went through a season with 14, 15 players. You now need at least 20 top quality players in the squad.
Yeah, you do.
To make any impression in the Premier League. And I think we got that now. I really do think we got that now.
Do. Yeah, I think we do.
I think we've definitely got more depth than we had last season, haven't we?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we've got some real quality. It's just down to Moyes now just to utilise that. And again, I think I put in another post where, we've got this new 5 sub rule now. And I think Moyes has just got to adapt to that a little bit better.
Yeah.
Start utilising it. Especially being in Europe with so many games. And it's not like the European competitions of old. Now you go through all these, group stages.
Well,
and,
I think
he's just got to start to utilise the players a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, give players a bit more of a breather.
Yeah. I think there is that. I think that is one thing that nobody can kind of nobody can contest with David Moyes, which he does do, is he does kind of just stick with the same players over and over again, and he doesn't like to change too much. That is something I think, Nigel, I think especially when you look at the squad that he's got now, when you look at the likes of Downs and these other players that we've got, he really doesn't have to do that now, does he? When he's got players that look like they're out of form a little bit, or if they're a little bit tired, I think he does need to rotate them a bit.
He's managing the players in a way, and realistically, even though we had a poor start, I think you can actually probably look at it and possibly say, well, he's not wrong, is he? In the way he's done that. I mean, Scamacca's played every game or been on the pitch for every game.
He's got game time, yeah.
So, and bearing in mind, a lot of people will complain about burnout when it comes towards the season. And, well, how do you not burn players out? Well, not keep playing them. So I think he's doing right there. John, one thing I'll ask is, because what you say is you can say about the squad. Do you think now that bails Moyes out for not buying anyone in January? Where was you with the January thing? Because it was a big thing about January, and actually Moyes come out and said, I didn't see anyone that would, strengthen what he thought
in January.
Yeah, but now is he right now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's right or wrong, but I think. I think we need to get into a system where season on season, we just need to be bringing, 3 or 4 players in each season.
Yeah.
Because bringing in 8 players in wholesale in one window is too much disruption.
Yeah, as we've seen.
Although it's really bolstered the squad, and I would expect all of those 8 new signings to feature heavily throughout the Premier League season, I think after this season, it just needs to be bringing just 3 or 4 players in the season, maybe trying to promote 1 or 2 players from the under 23s as well into the squad. And I would say you don't want to be changing more than 20% of the squad each season, because it's just too much.
Yeah.
So although once we got this season out of the way, just really bring in a good scouting system where you bring in 2 or 3 really top players in every season.
I'll tell you what, John. Sorry to cut you off. Talking about scouting, I think most of us were starting to wonder what the bloody hell Rob Newman did, especially in January.
Yeah.
But I think I think we've got to be giving Rob Newman a lot of credit for this transfer window.
I totally agree.
Lot. I
totally agree.
Especially with the way that we went for certain players, it didn't pay off. There was Onana, there was Diaz, there was Nunes, there was the other Nunes that went to Wolves, and it just seemed like we had a list. We had these kind of players that were scouted for. We needed a defender when Aguirre got injured. We went out, we got Kehrer.
Signed a lot of quality for very good prices.
The funny thing about it is the Paqueta signing.
Yeah,
is that that was done by Barry Silkman.
Right.
Now, Barry Silkman is the agent of choice of David Sullivan.
Yeah.
Now, it's a quite of a strange thing.
That's all right, though, as long as he's not as long as it ain't that situation where David Sullivan is getting some spare players off of Silkman and recommending them to David Moyes. I doubt that was the kind of dynamic.
Well, the funny thing is, the stories coming out was that Silkman wasn't getting a bite of anything,
right?
And then he after it's announced, Silkman then announced himself on his own Facebook or Instagram page and put the photographs up with him and Paqueta. So it did seem a bit of a strange signing. Obviously, Newman's part of a scouting team; he's the head of it. So. I think, I think it put to bed. A lot of people were obviously questioning
Newman in particular. I think
what he did. The thing is, people might not know this. They know Newman and Moyes played for Bristol City together.
Didn't know that.
Right.
So they go back a long.
I didn't know that.
So they go back a long way.
Yeah, no, but it's working well. The number of, we've spent 180 million. We've signed 8 players. I think every one of those players so far looks to be a decent player.
And John's spot on. Sorry, going forward, the phrase I always use is evolution, not revolution.
Yeah.
From now on, 2 or 3 players a season.
Yeah. It was.
Although
needs must though, right? At the end of last season, we had all these players coming to the end of their contract. It was like a bit of a freaky situation, wasn't it? So going forward, I think, John, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, the only thing is, John.
I think as well.
Go on, mate. No, go on.
Yeah, sorry. I think as well we need to kind of reduce the age of the squad as well. We've still got one of the oldest squads in the Premier League, so we need to bring that down a little bit. I think we did get ourselves in the habit where, we were signing players towards the end of their career, whereas what we've seen this window, we're getting some players who are quite young.
Yes,
and hopefully, if we continue to do well and they'll stick around, we'll get 3 or 4 seasons out of them.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want. Yeah, and a bit of stability and continuity like that, So it's looking quite rosy for the future. But let's just see where we go from here.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say to you is about these kind of mass incomings. Is I think we might have a similar sort of situation in terms of player exodus next summer, with players coming towards the end of their contracts. So obviously we may not be looking necessarily for the same level of player that we were looking for this year, but there's quite a few, Nigel, isn't there? Potentially leaving next year. You can look at Lanzini, Dawson, Ogbonna.
Well, if the story is about Dawson, he'll be gone in January.
Yeah, I know.
And that is still persisting. That that we'll see it. We've got, that's something we've got. My hope is that perhaps the continuation of European football, may keep him at the club.
Yeah. I think it will. Look, and don't get me wrong. I've not been that excited by the Conference League so far. I think we've done well, but I will get excited now when we're into the knockout stages. That's when it gets exciting, really, isn't it?
Well,
Once
the
you
fact
sort of
that
start.
they only got 40,000 against Anderlecht on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Perhaps
It was more than
you're not
40,000
wrong.
there, wasn't it? It was more
No,
than 40,000.
there was less than 40,000. So
You
they only
reckon?
sold
You reckon?
40,000 tickets.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of gaps.
I
A lot
thought
of gaps there.
it was a lovely little crowd there. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah. That's all right.
But anyway, John, any more questions from yourself?
No. You know, obviously, enjoying the chat. It's great stuff, and
Thank you very much.
yeah, doing a good job. Great format, and yeah.
Well,
Great
thanks for
stuff,
calling
mate.
in, John.
Thanks for taking the call.
No worries, mate. You're welcome back anytime.
All right then.
Lovely. Cheers, John.
Great stuff.
Thanks,
See you
mate.
later.
Come on your irons.
Come on your
Cheers.
How many words?
Right, everyone. We won't take any more calls now. Lines are now closed.
Budgie wants to interview all of us individually. I'm sure we can do that, Budgie. Just get in touch. Yeah. Barry Silkman is usually the devil. Just closing off a few comments. Moyes was dead right, not buying anyone in the winter transfer. I can't agree with that, James. Of course he wasn't. My opinion, obviously, but some of our fans need to open up their type. Listen, I can't believe we couldn't find one more player to help us in that European journey in January. I can't believe that. Right. Where are we going? Newman's first day. Chris says, Sullivan, Rob, this is Barry. You'll see a lot of him. It's probably true, actually. Probably true. Where are we going? Mandy says, fantastic show. Like. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mandy.
Like. Yeah. I get why Dawson wants to be close at home, but really miss him. Yeah. Look, if he's got personal problems, his kids and stuff, kids take priority over everything, don't they? Your home life and all that. But
he can wait another 6 months, can't he?
this is the thing. This is the thing I don't quite get. Right? It's the thing I don't quite get is that he's a very short career, this footballing lark, right? And he's found somewhere that loves him. He's never. Listen, I would be willing to bet that Dawson has not been adored like this at any other club he's played for in the Premier League. Right?
No.
They
I think
didn't
he would
like
be
him at
mad.
Watford.
What's he got
They
left?
didn't like him at Watford. They didn't like him at West Brom, right? But at West Ham, he's kind of found his home. We love him. We love that full blood. So why can't he just get the domestic situation under control and stay with us for another, at least half a season, maybe another season after that?
I think the end of his career, Gary, because like I say, what's he got left? What, 3 years?
Exactly.
3
It's all
fucking
over
years. He
after
can,
that,
he
innit?
can retire in 3 years.
Yeah.
He's literally found. I think if he's got a spiritual home, it's West Ham.
It absolutely is. He is a cult hero, proper cult hero.
Stay. Well, we're going to do a feature after every show where we please Craig Dawson to stay.
Let's start a campaign. Keep Dawson.
Don't you go away. Stay now.
but not Nigel. And Craig Dawson literally does. He almost does epitomise. We like the flair players, but other than the flair player, Craig Dawson epitomises what West Ham fans love in a player, doesn't he? He does. He's unbelievable, isn't he?
It was. Do you know the funny thing about it is that even the reaction to the first time his name was on the team sheet, which I think was like the November, and I remember Twitter going into a meltdown that Dawson was playing, and I remember going, hold up a minute.
Yeah.
If he puts the shirt on, let's back the player.
And that was just Nick, right? That was just Nick on Twitter.
No, but I think I do. And people do associate, it's like, I know it was a joke, but Nicky Hawkins from West Ham Fan TV, I showed you the tweet earlier on. He said, his tweet was 3 lines. I'm on the plane. The pilot's name is Craig Dawson. I feel safe. That was it. That was his tweet.
Cheers, Barney. Just to say how good the show is and how good the chat was. Yeah, it's been a good chat tonight.
His earlier 100% comment about Soucek, he said, was a question. So
but the kids have gone to bed or are down the pub.
Yeah.
Right. Who was the agent for the Dawson transfer?
That was all via Warburton's. So
was
it? Wasn't it?
What, Dawson? Dawson?
No, not. Oh, sorry. No, I've read that wrong. Downs. I read that
Warburton
as
was Downs. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm all over that, guys. Start a petition. Yes, let's start a petition. Let's see how many names we can get. And yes, Daniela, Dawson for England. can't be. I'll tell you what.
It's better than Maguire.
How good would that feel to see
And
Craig
that-
Dawson,
it is.
Owen, and Rice in the
Would
England
Dawson
team?
let England down?
No.
no.
He
No, he
wouldn't.
fucking wouldn't.
No,
he would not
wouldn't.
let England down. He
Yeah.
really wouldn't.
Should we go back to how loyal fans reacted to Dawson January? The loyal fans. I don't know what's that.
Is that when he came in where everyone didn't want him, or most people?
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
most
In the January, was that last January? Or
Yeah, most
whatever?
people didn't.
Yeah.
2 million, looked at him as a bit of a reject
Yeah.
from Watford. You can understand it on the face of it.
Eastside said it was
underwhelming.
Salthouse, so
Yeah.
likely it was. Great show again, Les. Nice to see Nigel back, says Shell. Thanks,
Thank you
Shell.
very much.
Give Dawson a number 6 shirt. Ooh, controversial, budgie. But I'm not one of these people who thinks shirts should be retired anyway. To be quite honest,
That's a bit of a special one, that though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is number 6.
Yeah, because Alan Devonshire, mate, what a player.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about shirt retirements for me.
Yeah.
Is that when you think of the people that have worn number 6,
Yeah.
Let's get this right. And the worst thing about retiring it is forever. Who was the last person to wear the number 6 shirt?
Oh my god. Go on, tell us.
I believe it was Matt Upson.
Oh really?
Really?
Matt Upson?
I
No,
believe so.
I can't believe
Are
that.
you joking me?
We'd
Well,
have to double
that-
check that, but
I mean,
I'm pretty
He
sure.
wasn't the bravest defender, was he, Matt Upson?
No,
But yeah, see, look, people were saying, look,
Everyone's
Upson,
saying
they're
Upson.
agreeing with
Everyone's
me.
saying
I
Upson.
thought
Nick-
it was Upson.
shit.
Nick,
You know, and
fucked up
this was the thing,
DTV
when-
shed man. I don't know what
Yeah.
that means.
what does that mean?
The DTV shed man. Explain yourself, Dave.
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
All right.
David Trevitt wanted to go versus Shedman.
Right.
Did he?
It should be
Yeah.
Dex, if I'm honest. Number 6? Yeah, maybe. Only if he stays though. I'm in
Yeah.
Southampton now, nice place, Eastside. I'll be there tomorrow.
I disagree, Eastside.
Southampton's
think
a
Southampton
nice
is a nice place.
Not random.
No, exactly. It's-
Stadium, mate.
I
I
think
don't
it's a
think
right
it is.
shithole,
I
actually.
think it's an
Right
absolute
shithole.
shithole. I really do. I've been there a few times now.
But hold up,
Never had a
that is,
good
the,
day.
that is the dock area of Southampton. There are parts of Southampton that are a bit tidy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you
It's
got to
a
remember
nice-
that's the dock area of Southampton. Most
Yeah.
dock areas in any city are not the most salubrious of places.
I went there a couple of years ago with Lisa, my wife, and we spent the night down there. We watched West Ham win, and then later on in the evening, there's this curry restaurant which is right on the coast down there. It's a big white place, massive white place, lovely Indian in there, very very nice. Other than that, it's a shithole. Chris, as Gio says, you have to evaluate if you want new information, and the new info is that Dorsey has been immense. Well,
Yes. Yeah.
Upson.
That
Nigel
sounds
should
like
have
a
the number
chant.
6 shirt. Nigel should have the number 6 shirt.
I'm the number one.
Yeah, give Dawson Stover's private
Actually,
take him home every
they
day.
gave me the number 13. I think that's how bad I
Oh,
was.
bloody hell.
Why don't we fly in the private jet or the helicopter? Because David Gold's got 2
Absolutely.
helicopters.
No,
right?
they're gone,
Absolutely.
mate. David
Oh, no.
Gold's helicopter.
Fly him home every day.
You don't want to go in an helicopter.
That's a good point.
You
Liam
don't.
Brady wore the number 6. It was what a great player he was for us. Spot on, Nigel. I've looked it up. Yeah, number 6.
I
Old
thought
school,
Brady was
first
7.
11, 1 to 11 on the pitch. Not squad like. Oh yeah, did you see that game the other night? We handled it. You had number 17, numbers 99, numbers
Yeah.
56. Oh, it was ridiculous. I hated that. It was option 9. Yeah, the number 6 shirt should be reserved for those that deserve it and have won the right to wear it. Yeah,
Well, that being the case, you could have an argument for Dawson.
yeah, you could. What number? Yeah, 6. It was Upson. Yeah, I think a lot of people know it.
Did
Why
Bonzo
didn't I
wear
know
number
that?
6?
Everyone else knew it apart from me.
I didn't know it.
He wore number 4, didn't he, Bonzo?
Nigel
Four.
should know this.
It was a right back. I think his first shirt number might have been 2, actually.
Yeah, he wore 2. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Um,
Southampton is grim, according to Darren. Yes, it is. Yes, it is,
It is
Darren.
grim.
I think Brady wore 7. Oh, Karen Brady.
No, that's what's
Yeah.
Brady out.
Brady out. Love a good Indian. Bloody right, too. I don't think Brady was 7. Nigel's an old-fashioned 12 all day long. You're a substitute, Nigel.
I was 13, mate, actually.
Gary, two more comments and I'm stopping now because you're chasing the end of the fucking comment stream and it's never
Oh,
ending.
no. Right, okay.
Right.
I'm going to have a look. I'm going to have a look through. The Dell was on the smallest grounds. The crowd was nearer the players and up to park. It was also a bit of it was not symmetrical, the Dell. I didn't like it, right? I didn't
No.
like it. Horrible little ground. And what else? Oh, we don't want to call it number 99 joke again. Yeah, let's leave it there.
Right. Go on, Gal.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining. Thank for the callers. Been a lovely night, actually. Really enjoyed this. Welcome back, Nige. And Nige, thank you for joining. And we'll get together and do that the tour videos one day when Nick eventually edits them. To let you all know, all you out there, we did a walking tour of.
It was only a few weeks. It was only a few weeks ago.
History tour.
Yeah, July the 3rd, Nick.
Like fucking 6 months ago, right? We walked around and we did a bit of an outside broadcast, but then Nick needs to edit it down, and we're going to do that with a few special shows. Should be quite interesting. But anyway, look, thank you all for joining. We'll be back tomorrow. I think Nick, you're doing a watch along, aren't you?
I am. I'm doing a watch along.
Is John doing it with you? Is John doing it with you?
He's not doing a watch along. So what we're going to do? I'm going to jump on. I've got my boys got. We've got a match. We've got a cup game tomorrow at 12. So I should be back by 1:45. I'll jump on at 10 to 2.
Yeah.
I'll do the watch along with you all. You can do a phone in at half time.
Cup game at 12.
Yeah, I know. Got a mid.
How are you going to get back by 10 to 2?
It's round the corner. Only 70-minute games.
A watch along
under 14s, under 14s, isn't it?
Is that right?
So,
70 minutes.
Yeah, 70 minutes. Yeah, 35-minute halves. So we've got and half time's only about 5 minutes. That's all they give you. So
that sounds brilliant. It's like a watch along with a phone in, which is pretty good.
Yeah, so it'll be a watch along. Yeah. You can. There won't be time before the game because it'll only be 10 minutes before kickoff. But I can't tell you what my commentary is going to be like.
Get Dawson to ring you at half time.
I will. Yeah. But phone in at half time. Have a little chat with me. Shout at me, whatever you want. Don't care. A little bit after the game, and then probably about 15 minutes after the game, we're going to jump on. I'm going to jump on with John, with Poorly John, and we're going to do a live match review, and we'll pull some callers in. We'll see if we can get Gary piped in from on his way back from Southampton as well. Yeah, and
then tomorrow night we're probably back for the booze up as well tomorrow night, and if we've got anything left to talk about. But anyway, until then,
we're definitely going to do that Sunday night because I'll leave the player ratings until.
Yeah. You've got some special effects for the player ratings, haven't you, this time? So it should be
good.
Just
answer Eastside Views has asked, do I have my own library? And the answer is yes.
Yes, he does. You would not believe it.
50 books on West Ham alone.
Yeah, you would not believe it.
200 other books on football.
Yeah. Right. So we are done. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks all. See you soon, and come on, you irons.
I've lost my outro video. Here it is.
Your outro. Come on.